Closer to her than to him.
And for the record, why was that?
Because I had seen her more, and because she was very good friends with Evelyn Rothschild and his wife Lynn.
I was introduced to him by the lady-in-law Rothschild.
Wow.
And I was told, yeah, and you know, he knew all the most prominent people.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
Miriam gave my campaign, indirectly and directly, $250 million. She was number one. She stood up bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years. And I said, Alan, I agree with you. So we can do it. Think about it.
Alan's here someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan?
She said, think about it. I'll give you another $250 million.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy, and he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon. I think I spent more time with him and you, because you usually came up together.
Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I can think of. Look at her sitting there so innocently. She's got $60 billion in the bank, $60 billion. And I think she's saying no more. And she loves Israel, but she loves it, and they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very supportive of me.
Can I come over, please? I say, Sheldon, I'm president of the United States. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's like maybe tomorrow. How about tomorrow? No, please, just for a little while. And he'd always say 10 minutes. It turned out to be about an hour and a half, right? And what he did is he fought for Israel. That's all he really fought for. He just wanted to take care of.
But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must tell you. We love you. Thank you, darling, for being here. That's a great honor. Great honor. She's a wonderful woman.
What's going on, everybody? Today, we are going to talk about a few things. We're going to play the... Whoa, excuse me. Start the show over. Not just kidding, but I can't do that. It's live. We're going to talk about Bill Clinton mentioning that he was closer to Ghislaine Maxwell than Jeffrey Epstein because they were friends with the Rothschilds. I found that interesting. Go over a little bit of that stuff and then talk about a concept that there's 2 purposes of this live stream. Actually, let's just say 3. More than that, but I'm just going to simplify because I don't feel like ranting that much right now. But 1, it's therapeutic for myself. I like to talk, and I like to talk to you guys. I like to put on a show. 2, I think it's providing sanity for people watching. There's a lot of craziness out there, a lot of propaganda, a lot of really stupid people. So if you're not stupid and brainwashed, I think that it's relaxing and calming to hear somebody not lying to you. And then 3rd, this is what I really hope for. I hope I could get through to people that don't understand what we're talking about, because that's kind of the goal. The goal, of course, it's nice to talk to each other and provide sanity and whatnot. But really what we want to do is get enough people to realize what's going on so we could actually change it and fix it. But, the people that don't understand this sort of stuff seem to be the most stubborn. So, I'll do my best job here to make the case to not just people that agree with us, but, the GOP people who do agree with us on a lot of policies, and they say, anomaly, I don't want a Democrat to win the next election. I don't want the borders to be open. I don't want Kamala and Gavin Newsom and AOC to win the election. Me neither. But the problem is, if you watch the clip and even share the first 2 minutes of this live stream, maybe I'll play it again later, you're not understanding who's controlling Trump, and you don't understand that the people puppeting Trump, they don't necessarily care. As long as they get their objectives for a foreign nation, the border of America being open doesn't matter that much to somebody who's using our party to achieve means for a foreign nation. So, I do believe that we and our party and our country is being sacrificed, and the next election doesn't matter to them. But there's a lot of concepts I want to talk about today. Matt Walsh is breaking out of his spell at Daily Wire to tell the truth and, all the neocons and Zionists are freaking out at them. We might talk about that as well, and a lot of different stuff. But God bless you guys. Dreamer Podcast starts now. And, I would say I'm going to try to keep this one under an hour. Maybe I'm going to go longer if I'm bored and having fun. Not bored, having fun. Because if I'm bored, then I'll just cut the stream off. But, we'll see what happens. But show people that intro video. I put it on Twitter as well. That tells you the entire story that you need to know about what's going on. But the show starts now. Thank you for being here. Thumbs up on the chat and on the video for the algorithm if you like it. Thank you.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on? We got Perry on Facebook saying, controlling Trump. What force on earth can control Trump? Thank you, Perry, for being here. It's the Perrys of the world, not just you. But we hope that you listen, and we hope that you stay tuned for at least 10 minutes, and I'll explain what's going on. $10 super chat real quick. I'm at a Bible study with a boomer who we love, group leader, and I had to bite my tongue about the Israel-Iran talk. Lord, give me strength. Well, God bless you, and God bless boomers. We love boomers here. This is actually a hidden boomer fan club. The politics is just the front. We're really just a big boomer fan club here. But anyway, let's get into the live stream, and let's start with the concept. Perry, I hope you're listening, and the Perrys and the boomers of the world and the non-boomers of the world, all generations holding hands, singing Kumbaya and peace. Let's listen to Bill Clinton say, I was really more friends with Ghislaine Maxwell than I was Jeffrey Epstein because we had mutual friends, the Rothschilds. You're going to hear that name a lot because Jeffrey Epstein claimed to represent the Rothschilds. Alan Dershowitz said he was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by the Rothschilds. Bill Clinton had a relationship with Maxwell over the Rothschilds. And this banking family who used to own all the wealth that nobody talks about anymore totally doesn't control the world. And outside of my sarcasm, because I don't know if that is or isn't true, but Israel was basically founded by the Rothschilds and the Balfour Declaration. So, you can't really hate George Washington and love America. I hate George Washington, but I like America. George Washington is America. The Rothschilds are Israel. They were given Israel. That you can't. It's they're the George Washingtons of Israel. So I know there's a lot of people that like Trump who are like, Trump's taking on these banking families and, he's really fighting them, but he just really likes Israel to fight the deep state. It's those are basically synonyms. So let me just play. I'm not going to play this whole clip, but I'm going to play it for a minute, then state my case about what's going on.
I'd say that it was accurate to say that I felt closer to her than to him.
And for the record, why was that?
Because I had seen her more, and because she was very good friends with Evelyn Rothschild and his wife Lynn.
I was introduced to him by the lady-in-law Rothschild.
Wow.
And I was told, he knew all the most prominent people.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
Miriam gave my campaign indirectly, 250 million. She was number one. She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years. And I said, Alan, I agree with you. So we can do it.
All right, so let's slow that down and just slowly connect the dots here. So Bill Clinton yesterday was in front of whatever fake congressional hearing that's going to do nothing. The chance of me getting drone struck by the people that I talk about for trying to reveal to you the truth about what's going on is more likely than Bill Clinton getting in trouble. So it's not even going to do anything. But anyway, not that I'm going to get drone struck. I don't want to say that, but I'm just saying that's probably more likely than a Bill Clinton accountability. So Bill Clinton is in front of whatever fake hearing that is, and he says, I knew Ghislaine Maxwell better than Jeffrey Epstein because we had a mutual friend, the Rothschild family. Alan Dershowitz said, I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by the Rothschilds, and, they knew all the most prominent people. Trump says, I don't really want Bill Clinton to get in trouble. I don't want him to be deposed. I like Bill Clinton. He understands me, and he doesn't like that the GOP is trying to hold the Clinton family accountable. It's bothering Trump quite a bit for some reason. Miriam Adelson, who bankrolls Donald Trump's campaign, she gave him $250 million. Sheldon Adelson gave the GOP $424 million. Trump said that Sheldon Adelson only asked for things for Israel. Trump said that Miriam Adelson, he thinks, likes Israel more than America, and they bankroll him and then are aggressive towards him to do things for Israel. The Balfour Declaration was signed to the Rothschilds, which gave Israel the modern land. So the Rothschild family is the George Washington of Israel. They basically founded it. And like, you can't dislike them if you like Israel. They're the whole reason it exists. Without the Rothschilds, you would have no Israel. So it's like, when you put all these things together, I could literally just sit in silence for 2 hours. I just explained everything within a minute and 2 minutes. People are always like, Anomaly, why do you talk so much? Well, for my own entertainment, for people who enjoy it. Sometimes it's therapeutic and we're just having a fun time on a live stream, but I don't need to even do a live stream. The same thing I said 5 years ago, and then I just said a minute ago, that's literally the entire story. It's like, there's people bankrolling both parties. They're all friends. Trump is a puppet. Bill Clinton is a puppet. Trump doesn't want to see him get deposed because they're friends. They work for the same families and the same people. But then people just don't want to talk about it. And on that note, there's a lot I could say, but what I explained in my longer live stream over a longer course of time that I will simplify and summarize, because I think it's one of the most important parts of what I said yesterday, is that if you really, and this is not my opinion, and this is why my live streams, I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this to be transparent so people can understand not just what I'm saying, but why I'm saying it. Because I've always tried to explain in my live streams. It's not like, trust me, I know everything, believe me. I'm showing you why I say these things. What I'm saying is based on reality and based on things that other people are ignoring. So if I have more evidence to make a big picture and you're just closing your ears saying, I believe what Sean Hannity told me, yeah, I'm going to be right. And you're going to be wrong most of the time. But in general, if you listen to the donors, you listen to the people that are more powerful than Trump, you listen to the people that are bankrolling both parties, you watch how the GOP works, you look who they let speak at their events, you see that there's a certain group and a certain type of person that even if they were Democrats a year or two ago, they're willing to host based on one topic. And if somebody was a Democrat 2 years ago and they don't care about open borders and vaccine mandates, what topic made them want to be a Republican? And you start realizing that there's one topic. It's the same one that unites Ghislaine Maxwell and the Rothschilds and Trump and Dershowitz. It's the same one that bankrolls Donald Trump. It's the same one that pays Kamala Harris. It's the same reason she's on 60 Minutes saying that she's willing to basically fight Iran because, she's exactly the same. There's a commonality there. And my point is, we, the American people, or more specifically, maybe the conservative, Republican, Trump, libertarian movement, anybody right of like Joseph Stalin, nobody wants the borders open. Nobody wants more refugees from these wars that we started and fought. Nobody wants 10 million people to come across the border or all of these weird H-1B visa scams that Trump's doing for his friends, even though Trump pretends to be the closed border guy because he closed the border. He's facilitating other migrants in other ways for his business and billionaire buddies. But in general, we all agree that we don't want that. But what I'm trying to explain to the average Trump voter that has their head so far up Trump's ass that they can't even see, it's just like a wall of dookie everywhere, and they just regurgitate poop out their mouth and think they're profound because they're repeating like, some guy in a suit on Fox News. What I'm trying to explain is we're looking at the next election and being like, oh no, we're going to lose the House, we're going to lose the Senate, we're going to we might lose the presidency now in 2028 because Trump is being so cringe. The people bankrolling Trump, they don't care. Their loyalty is not to America. They're totally okay with like achieve all our objectives, sacrifice your grandson, sacrifice your kids, do all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Put your entire country on the line. Who cares if you have infrastructure? Who cares if the roads are paved? Who cares if your healthcare system's good? Who cares who's in your country or not? Who cares if the border's open or not? Who do you think Mayorkas was working for? First of all, look up who Mayorkas is and what ethnicity is. And he was also working with certain nonprofits like HAIS, I believe their name was, which is a certain ethnic group's nonprofit. Not saying it's the entire ethnic group's fault, but it's like the same group. Not that they're all necessarily working together, but it's like they're bankrolling a right to start these wars. And then they're behind the left-wing mass migration of America as well. And they're pushing it. And if you point it out, they just call you anti-Semitic for noticing that they're doing it on the left. So they don't care if Gavin Newsom wins the next election. They don't care if AOC wins the next election. They don't care because they're achieving their objectives through Trump. And this is what I want to explain as well. And this is not based off of my perception of like anger or hate or jealousy or envy or emotion. I'm not emotional. I'm not hateful. I'm not envious. I'm not jealous. I'm simply just an American citizen trying to tell the truth. And the reality is, if you listen to the people that are doing this enough and the people that they're defending and working with and running nonprofits with and passing speech laws for around the world and, signing executive orders, standing next to Trump while he's signing them, if you listen to these people talk enough, you understand their worldview. And this is not every one of their group or every one of their religion, but it is the ones that are funding everything. They are trying to achieve multiple objectives. They're trying to use the United States military. I would say that the United States military has essentially been purchased. I think it's literally been bought. Like Trump has sold out the United States military for hire for a foreign nation. And he openly admits on stage that the donors that are bankrolling him only want things done for a foreign nation, but they're not even registering for FARA. And, I don't even want to get into it, but I'm sure JFK was getting into it with their nuclear deals and FARA, but and he's not around anymore. But anyway, so it's like our party's being completely purchased, and then Trump is selling you that he's doing it for America, even if it costs him his entire career, his entire legacy, our party, the future. They'll just ride the left coattails then and be like, well, not only did we get our foreign objectives for the war at America's expense, but also, if you listen to some of these people, they don't even really like us. Like some of them consider us cattle. If you're an evangelical, boomer Zionist who's like, oh, we got to do everything that Israel wants. They have a book called the Talmud that says that Jesus Christ is boiling in hot excrement for eternity. They think the guy that you think is your Lord and Savior, they think is boiling in hot poop forever because they hate his guts, just like they hate your guts. They hate you, literally. Not all of them, some of them, and a lot of the ones bankrolling both sides hate you and your Lord and Savior. They literally are disgusted by you, but they think you're retarded. So they just use you and use your family and send your sons and daughters off to die, and you're fine with it. So it's like, a lot of these Zionist boomers, it's like, they're like, we need to go fight this war for this foreign nation. And yeah, it might be at our expense, but it's worth it. And meanwhile, the people that are doing it, not all, but some, are like, wow, this is achieving multiple objectives at once. We could sacrifice the right using patriotism and American flags to go die in a foreign war for a foreign nation. Then, as soon as they lose the election, because everyone realizes they're phony like George Bush, Trump is literally just as bad, if not worse than George Bush now. Then the Democrats win and the borders are open. And you say, oh, they probably don't want the borders open. Why don't you read the Wall Street Journal that was written by one of the right wingers in Israel, one of the Likudniks, one of Netanyahu's guys, right? The right wing in Israel, they must really like you. It's just the left that doesn't. They wrote an op-ed in Wall Street Journal saying, why doesn't America and Europe take the refugees from these Middle Eastern wars? This was like a couple years ago. He said, you've already taken so many. What's a couple more? So as they bomb Palestinian women and children, journalists, civilians, and obviously Hamas as well, they say, oh, they're all terrorists. We're killing terrorists. We're blowing the limbs off of terrorists. And then Zionist cattle, I'm going to call them cattle boomers because, they do act like cattle actually. So the people that call you cattle are not really wrong. And they say, oh my gosh, Anomaly, you don't understand. They're all terrorists. They're blowing up terrorists. If they're all terrorists, then why are your allies trying to flood your country with the terrorists? Why are they writing op-eds in Republican newspapers, your right-wing allies in a foreign nation, saying, oh, why don't you take all of these terrorists? Why doesn't Europe take all these terrorists? And the reason I understand all this stuff is because I don't have hate. I'm not emotional about it. I'm not angry. I'm just simply talking about it. They don't care about you. It's like if I was, let's just say I was 100% Spanish and all I cared about was Spain. And I just literally thought everybody else was subhuman. I'm like, I'm Spanish. Spanish people are the best. Everybody else is subhuman. Who cares about them? Let's just do whatever we want to everybody and just do it at everyone's expense for us. Like the most selfish mindset ever. Not everybody has that. There's people of that from all races, all religions, all genders. I'm not saying it's exclusive to like one group of people, but That is absolutely happening. So you think they're your ally. You think you're going to war to fight some sort of Judeo-Christian values thing that even though they think your Lord and Savior is boiling in hot shit, they literally hate Jesus. They literally think the original anti-Semites were Jesus's disciples who were trying to tell people to convert to Christianity. They say this in interviews. You just don't listen to them. So it's like you go off to war, you lose the next election, they open the borders, and then your allies write op-ed saying, you take the terrorists that we just told you are terrorists. You take all the pissed off Muslims that we just bombed their family. You take them in. Why not? We don't want them. Why doesn't Europe take them? Why doesn't America take them? And then you listen further and you realize not only do they hate Jesus Christ, not only do they hate the original Christians, aka the original anti-Semites, they also see Europe as the remnants of the Roman Empire. So they're trying to completely crush Rome because they have 1,000 or 2,000 year battle with an empire that you don't even know exists that they think you are. So, I don't need to talk for 5 hours. I do it for my own entertainment and for people's entertainment. I just told you the entire story that's not going to change until people figure it out. And it's been that way for a long time. So in that regards, Trump and Bill Clinton, the reason Trump defends Bill Clinton is they work for the same people. The reason that the people bankrolling both sides don't mind if a Democrat or a Republican wins is because they control both sides and both sides serve certain values. If you want to trick boomers into sending their kids off to die in a foreign land, run a Republican. If you want to socially destroy a nation and just completely subvert them purposely because you want to destroy their offspring, give them Obama. You need to, Obama's not working anymore because everybody's waking up to him, and you need to, get a pharmaceutical puppet who's friends with Bill Gates and Epstein who can do 15 days to slow the spread and convince everybody to lock their nation down. Give them Trump. All right, you got the pharmaceutical socialism through the right, and now people are starting to rebel against it. Give them January 6th, go set up all the patriots and throw them in prison, and then give them Joe Biden, and Joe Biden will mandate all the vaccines, and Trump will play stupid for 4 years. Oh, you need to start the war with Iran? Give them Trump again. Oh, he started the war with Iran and basically sold out the U.S. military, and now we need to socially subvert the country again and blow all of the momentum that conservatives have built up winning the culture for the last 8 years. Sacrifice Donald Trump, his entire administration, and give them Gavin Newsom or whoever they're going to run in 2028. They don't give a shit. It's like you care. And the problem, I figured it out with, and I'm not trying to blame an entire generation, but the crowd who is brainwashed by Zionist media, they see everything through a lens that they've been taught. So it's like, I'll say these concepts, right? This is so far above Obama and Trump and Biden. Like, to me, these are pawns, right? Like, let's just say that it's a chessboard. Trump's a pawn, but you just think he's a king. Obama's a pawn. Obama's a puppet. Biden's a puppet. Kamala's a puppet. But in your chessboard, Trump's a king, and Biden did the Benghazi. It's like they just yell out these talking points. We're like, well, what about the fact that the Biden, it's like everything's this left versus right thing that they've been told, because the people feeding you the media are just exploiting you, and they want you to get caught in this level that's so far down the totem pole that it has no value. It's like, well, Trump got the tampons out of the bathrooms. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank God, because Tampon Tim was going to give the kids tampons. But this is not normal behavior for any, like, this is like 8th level society decline. And that's now like this huge achievement. The first 45 presidents of the United States didn't put tampons in boys' bathrooms. But now that I got to vote for the guy who's going to blow up our kids for Israel because he's just not going to put tampons in the guy's bathroom, and I'm supposed to act like he's George Washington. Like, this is the level that people are on, and they only know certain talking points that are like, oh, if you challenge Trump, you must be a liberal. Oh, you must be a terrorist if you don't want to start the war. No, the terrorists are working with the United States government because after decades of telling you they're fighting Al-Qaeda, they overthrew the leader of Syria with Al-Qaeda, a wanted Al-Qaeda terrorist. I could show you his wanted poster on the U.S. Embassy. A wanted terrorist took over Syria. Then the United States government decided he wasn't a terrorist anymore and flew him to the White House to spray cologne with Donald Trump, meet with Marco Rubio, and meet with former CIA Director Petraeus, who acted like he was Justin Bieber. So apparently they're only terrorists when they need to trick you on Fox News. But as soon as the terrorists take over a country, now they're our ally. So ISIS has apologized one time for attacking a country. Can you guess? Can anybody guess who ISIS apologized to? Israel. I'll just let you know. They apologized to Israel. They attacked them once. So we're fighting ISIS. They kill our troops and fight our troops. But if they attack our greatest ally, why would they apologize? Soleimani was fighting ISIS, by the way. The guy that Trump killed, he was fighting ISIS. I'm sorry if these facts bother you, but you could look all this up. This is like mainstream information. Nobody's even debating it. But, don't think about it, because just yell the word terrorist and work with the literal terrorists to fight like 10-year-old kids in Palestine because, some Zionist on television told you that they need to be gayer or something. I mean, this is like the level of what's going on, but it's so far above Biden and Kamala, all that stuff, that people really can't figure it out. And I want to say this too. I'll look at some comments in a second, and I want to talk about Matt Walsh rebelling against basically his handlers and stuff. So pray for Matt Walsh, because he's doing exactly what Charlie Kirk did, which is work for Zionist organizations, basically, work under their thumb their entire life. And then when push comes to shove, you like actually have a soul and tell the truth, which they obviously hate. They want to control people. But in general, I find it fascinating, and I don't want to just blame boomers because I think it's multiple generations, but I find it fascinating that certain people draw the line at telling the truth about why these wars are happening. Like, they're totally fine with sending their kids and grandkids, or your kids and your grandkids, or someone's kids and grandkids, sons and daughters, off to war. Trump's talking about we might have boots on the ground. We have enough weapons for it to last forever. 15 days to slow the spread. It might be 4 weeks. It might be more. It might be less. People are totally okay with putting people's kids and daughters and friends and family and husbands and wives in danger, but they draw the line at Megyn Kelly saying that they're going to die for Israel, or Tucker Carlson. It's like the moral manipulation of these people. Like, they've been lied about almost every war of their entire life. They sacrificed our entire country, our infrastructure, trillions of dollars, tens of thousands of people's kids, if not more. Millions of people around the world are just getting blown up. They're totally fine with all that, because as long as Sean Hannity and Netanyahu and Trump tell them it's for America, they're a patriot. But it's really bad. It's really bad for Megyn Kelly to say they're not going overseas for American interests. They're going overseas for Israel. And now that's a problem with all of these people who have no problem sacrificing everybody. It's like, why is that the line? I support our troops. I respect our troops. I love our troops. I think our troops are brave. I don't want to see a single soldier dead. But at the same time, they're being sacrificed for Israel and Jeffrey Epstein's friends and Trump's handlers and Biden's handlers and Kamala's handlers and the donors who've essentially purchased our military. That's who they're dying for. If America woke up and could buck the two-party system by letting these people know that you understand that this is what it is, then these people would not have died for a foreign nation, but they did. It doesn't mean they're not heroic. It doesn't mean they're not brave. It's also not virtuous to just constantly lie about this in a loop and keep sacrificing more and more and more people. If I came out the first day of the Ukraine war, obviously I don't have the power to stop it, but if I said, wait, they're trying to kill Europeans and they're sacrificing, they planted Zelensky and they're trying to get a bunch of Europeans killed because they're using that as a puppet state to attack Russia, because they're trying to go after every sovereign nation in the world that won't completely play ball with the New World Order. They would say, oh, you're so hateful, oh, you're so terrible. But I'm not saying I can, but what if I could stop it on the first day? Even though I might have said something that makes certain people uncomfortable, that you feel like's immoral. No, I want to believe that those Ukrainians risked their lives for their families and whatever. Yes, they did. But I'm just saying, if we could stop it now and save the death toll from going from 10,000 to 500,000, it's actually more virtuous to tell the truth about it. If we could have stopped the Ukrainian war at the beginning and saved 500,000 lives, isn't that more virtuous, saving 500,000 lives, rather than just lying in loop about it and more people dying? I'm not saying I have the power to do it, but that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm not trying to poo-poo soldiers that are fighting for a war. I hate to see them dead, but I know that more are going to die. And Trump says that they're going to die, because this isn't the war with Iraq. This isn't the war with Afghanistan. This isn't a war with Yemen. This isn't a war with Libya. this isn't even a war with Russia and Ukraine, even though that's horrific, but we've somehow stayed out of that for the most part and just used Ukraine as a meat shield, which is really sick, because if you actually care about Ukrainians, they're dying for a cause that I don't even think they know what they're doing. But if that's what they want to fight for, that's on them. That's their country. I respect it. But this is the war with Iran. There's 90 million people. We took out a leader, his entire family. And now they're attacking Israel. Now they're attacking. They just killed multiple more troops, I think, in Kuwait or something. They have a lot of weapons as well. And the question is like, for what? Why? How does this benefit us? Is it ever going to stop? This is another thing too. Oh, you listen to Netanyahu in the 1990s. Oh, it's going to stop after we invade whatever, Saddam Hussein. That'll really stabilize the Middle East. It didn't. We need to invade Afghanistan, they told us on the television. That didn't even work. We gave it right back to the Taliban because we didn't know what to do with it. Invading Libya, that'll work. It led to slavery and terrorism. Oh, we're going to, the same neocons, and this makes me so frustrated. The same neocons for years that wanted to overthrow, Bashar al-Assad of Syria. They said, you're a terrorist if you don't want to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. Oh, we almost struck peace with him, and then he just happened to gas his own people to make us fight him again. Oh, yeah, that's just what somebody would do right as America's about to leave Syria. They're just going to gas their own people. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it's like, obviously, that was probably a false flag, or one of our allies probably just sent an attack, because that's what they'll do. And this is where I do have sympathy for Donald Trump. Our allies would literally attack us if Trump didn't listen. So he probably has two options: either listen to them or get attacked, or have some sort of huge massacre happen that nobody could talk about and then go attack them, because that's the reality of how sick some of these people are. But in general, it's like all of these things, it's like, oh, it's going to end. It's going to end. It's going to end. This is the longest war in U.S. history. If you look up the longest war in United States history, it's the war in Afghanistan. And that war is part of a bigger Middle Eastern war that's still going on. So despite having the technology to end a war in a day, despite having the technology to basically not even have actual warfare, we have drones and stuff. We fought in the longest war in U.S. history at a time when there should be the least amount of war. And it's still going. And they're telling you, but this one's going to be really short. No, this is the big one. This isn't. The small ones were the long ones. The small ones were the ones that took 20, 30 years to lead to this one. This is a big one. It's not going to end in 2 weeks. It's not going to end in 4 weeks. It's going to end if Trump ends it. And but if Israel doesn't want to end it and they want to fight, then I'm sure Trump will have to, because he's completely compromised. So, it's just like this, the narratives going around. And I want to say this too, because it's not just about what people are saying. To me, it's about why. And I've kind of tried to figure it out and biohack it, because I'm like, why are people acting this way? Like, what is inspiring them to do this? And I figured it out to some extent. Some people like Trump and the GOP, but especially Trump. They like him with this obsession, like he's a god or he's their family. Like, there's people who have families that don't even like them that much. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure half the people here are relating. I'm sure half the people here have great families where they're like, yeah, my father and my mother, they love me, and my brother would die for me. But I'm sure there's like half of this audience that's watching this is like, my siblings don't even like me this much. My parents don't even like me this much. My friends don't even like me this much. I'm not saying like you don't have any friends or anything, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, don't you have siblings that are not like that big of a fan of you? Like, the way that people defend Donald Trump is beyond family. They're defending him more than they would defend their own kids, more than they are defending their own kids, more than they would defend their own parents. They're more critical of their own sons and daughters and their aunts and uncles and friends and family than they are of Donald Trump. He's like a god figure to them, where instead of looking at the situation and saying, listen, right, I don't like Kamala Harris, I don't like Joe Biden, I don't like Democrats, I don't like the left, I don't like Fox News or CNN or whatever, but also I don't trust Donald Trump and I want to figure out what's going on. They're not doing that. Their whole world, like you have, for example, the propaganda from last year was all of these little wars we're in are not wars because, they didn't last that long. And we're not at war with Russia because we're funding Ukraine, but our troops aren't on the ground. So even though it's a war that we're involved in, we're not like really involved in it. Okay, sure. Obviously that's a lie too, but yeah, we're not boots are not on the ground in Ukraine, and we're just funding a war that's killing hundreds of thousands of Europeans, but that's not war. Whatever. We're funding Israel. They're killing tens of thousands of people, and but that's not a war. Yeah, it definitely is a war, but yeah, we're not like fully involved in it. And then it's like, we stole Maduro. We just like somehow like snatched him like a Pokemon. It's like Ash Ketchum had like a master ball or something and just threw it at Maduro, and we just captured him and then brought him to the United States in a Pokeball. Well, that's not really war because we just basically just did it real quick and it's like over. I mean, it's kind of war, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it's not like war. So yeah, it's like I get, but this one, like Trump and Pete Hegseth, they're not even pretending like the propaganda from the old ones were like, it's just a strike, we're just funding it. Yeah, sure, I'll give it to you, even though I don't fully agree. This is a war. Pete Hegseth has said it's a war. Trump has said it's a war. They changed the Department of Defense to the Secretary of War because they're declaring war. They did that because they want war. They knew war was coming. Their donors want war. Their handlers want war. Trump is basically Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham, and we know they want war. So if Trump is Mark Levin and Lindsey Graham, he wants war too. Trump is on TV saying this is war. We're going to lose civilians. We're going not civilians, but he said we're going to lose soldiers. We're going to lose military members. It's going to be more. It might last longer. We might send troops on the ground. We're at war. Trump isn't even pretending we're not at war, yet the NPCs that follow him are still on the script from last year. And they're like, well, technically, Congress has to wage a war. Technically, yeah. Now you're Thomas Massie. Now all the MAGA-tards who don't like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul are using Thomas Massie and Rand Paul talking points. Yes, Congress is supposed to have to declare or authorize war for the president. It's supposed to happen. But for decades now, it hasn't. And that's been what libertarians have been complaining about, saying these are all illegal wars. Just because it's illegal, like they're not supposed to spy on you, but they are. They're not supposed to declare war, but they have. It's still a war just because they're doing it technically unconstitutionally and illegally. Now all of a sudden the MAGA-tards are like, oh, it's not technically a war because Congress has yet to sign off on it. It's like you guys are not even trying to seek the truth. You're just trying to bend over backwards and defend Trump in a way that you don't even defend your own religion, your own ethnic group, your own family, your own friends, your own kids, your own sons and daughters, your own parents. Like, you could talk to somebody and be like, yeah, they'll be like, oh, I'm not the biggest fan of what my parents did. Or like, yeah, my kids are a little bratty. But a Trump supporter with Donald Trump, now all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, according to the Constitution, this isn't technically a war. Yeah, Trump's calling it a war, but he's not right. It's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? He's declaring war. Just update your hard drive. You're on last year's propaganda, moved in this year's propaganda. What's the war over? I don't know. Pick one of the 7 talking points they said. You listen to somebody in Trump's administration, they'll all say a different thing. It's to free the Iranian people. Free the Iranian people? In 2020, you locked the country down, fumbled the election to Joe Biden, and he took over and forced masks on 3-year-olds. Is that freedom? Vaccine mandates for workers, people being threatened, that kicked out of the military for not taking a vaccine mandate. That happened in the United States of America 3 years ago. And it's probably going to happen in 3 years again because they're going to fumble the next election, the Democrats. So let's focus on freedom in America, you pieces of shit. Let's focus on, prosperity in America. We're losing ground in the United States of America, constitutional ground, yet you're going to bring it to Iran because they just need OnlyFans accounts, pornography, feminism, liberalism, and homosexuality. They just need a little bit more sodomy in Tehran. That's what John Bolton or whatever. It's like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. Okay, so we're bringing freedom to Iran. One, we're not bringing freedom to Iran. You want us to bring freedom to Iran. Just because you want freedom to go to Iran, there's no freedom in Iran. They're at war right now. Maybe in 5 years it'll be more free, but let's just separate what's actually happening to what you want to happen. You wish that's the result, but I wanted Afghanistan to look like a McDonald's in San Francisco, but it doesn't. So we didn't bring freedom to the Taliban. We didn't bring freedom to Afghanistan. We didn't bring freedom to Libya. We didn't bring freedom to Syria. Syria is not free. The same neocons who pushed for regime change are now like, oh my gosh, the Kurds are getting attacked. Oh my gosh, Christians are getting attacked. Hey, why isn't Marjorie talking about it? You pieces of shit. You are the ones who wanted to overthrow Bashir al-Assad. You were the ones who cheered when an Al-Qaeda terrorist took over the country, and now they're doing stuff, and now you're acting like you're the savior of Syria. Shut the fuck up. Excuse my language, but I'm so sick of these people and any retarded boomer who believes them. The same people who wanted to overthrow Syria, the same people who cheered when a former wanted Al-Qaeda terrorist took over the country are the ones now playing holier than thou, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe people are getting persecuted. You're the reason they're getting persecuted. And somehow you're tricking retards into thinking that you're the one that's fighting them, and it's secretly Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens who did this. Like, people have to be literally retarded to believe this. Sorry, but excuse my passion. So then, we didn't bring freedom to all these countries, but they say we're going to bring freedom. Let's go through all the time. They're going to bring freedom. You want them to bring freedom. We're 0 for 15, but this is the one. Yeah, bullshit. Okay, and also let's go to the no neocon cares about Iranian civilians. It's not like, oh, they just really care. They don't care about us, but they just really care about Iranian women. No, they don't. They could literally care less. Okay, they had a nuclear weapon coming. They've been saying that for 50 years. They had missiles pointing here. They had missiles. Like, there's 7 different excuses they're giving, because I feel like Trump he doesn't even respect his audience enough to come up with like a good George W. Bush trick. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, like, they had really strategic propaganda and false flags, and everybody went along with it in the media. So it was like really tricky. But nowadays, it's like they don't even respect you enough to come up with a talking point. They're like, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, 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 this. It might have been this, it might have been that. And then Rubio comes out and he's like, yeah, Rubio spilled the beans. Thank you, Marco Rubio, for being honest. He's like, the preemptive strike was that Israel was going to strike Iran, whether we help them or not. And we had to help them because, like, we have to. It's like, all right, now, like, Matt Walsh is like, wait, so we did this for Israel? Piers Morgan's like, wait, we did this for Israel? Oh, Matt Walsh, you just figured this out? Let's be clear about Matt Walsh. First of all, I like Matt Walsh, but Matt Walsh, and I'm not saying people can't change, but this is not something Matt changed on. He just stopped talking about it for shekels. Go find Matt Walsh's, if you search enough. He wrote an article about the Israel lobby like 15 years ago, okay? Before I was even into politics, Matt Walsh realized that the Israel lobby was strong, would call people anti-Semitic if they prioritized America over Israel. Matt Walsh knows everything I tell you. Everything I tell you, Matt Walsh 100% knows. He knew it before I knew it. He knew it after I knew it. He knew it in the middle of when I knew it. He's always known it. He knew it. He's been in politics way longer than I have, apparently, doing journalism. He knows this, right? He works for Daily Wire, who essentially is like, Zionist first, like psychotically Zionist media. And now all of a sudden, Matt Walsh just doesn't know what everyone's talking about, right? For 5 years. I don't know what you're talking about, guys. I mean, what? What do you mean? Like, I'm just, we got to get the trans tampons out of the bathroom. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it. Somebody's got to do it. But, that's been Matt Walsh. He spurgs out at people when they're like, Matt, why do you never talk about the Israel lobby? Oh, I do. It's like he knows. And then all of a sudden, like, this all happens. And Matt's like, wait, we did this for Israel? We do everything for Israel, Matt. You haven't realized that? Most of our media is compromised by Israel, including the company you work for. But you know that. Oh, what? You knew this 15 years ago. Would you just erase your memory like Men in Black? What? Oh, I get millions of dollars now from Zionists? Yeah, I'm against war, and I'm America first, but I just don't want to talk about it that much. Why not? You'll talk about immigrants. Okay, I don't care. You'll talk about black people. Once again, I don't care. You'll talk about how you want America to maintain its demographics. You have no problem offending the sodomites or whoever, but when it comes to Israel, you're just towing the line real fast. Does it have anything to do with the fact that that's where your paycheck? But now that a war breaks out, he's like, you know what? I'm starting to realize that this is not, and I want to give a compliment. I'll take it at any time, but this is why we've talked about the Israel lobby for the last 6-7 years, because this is what it leads to. If the Israel lobby has massive influence in your media, if they're getting massive amounts of money from the government, if Trump is rigging the entire government from them, if Trump is taking hundreds of millions of dollars from them, this is where it leads. So at the finish line being like, wait, now I want to talk about it. Thanks. But it's a little late now. which is fine. It's not like one person can shift the entire sands of time, but this is why we've talked about it the whole time. And as I've showed you in the intro video, I might just play it again so people can see why. You have to ask yourself why other Republicans won't talk about this, right? Because I didn't discover this on my own. It's not like I dug under the ground and saw this in like a, like Indiana Jones left me some sort of treasure trove that I found. Other people did podcasts and live streams that showed this information. And when I saw it, I was like, how could I be a news journalist in the United States of America and not report that there's these mega billionaires paying Trump hundreds of millions of dollars to essentially do things for foreign nations? Like Trump and the GOP received $424 million from 2016 to 2020. And then all of a sudden in 2019, him, DeSantis, the Republican Party, Democrats, Eric Adams, they all start passing these obscure anti-Semitism laws for Jews, Israel, and Judaism. And I'm like, what? Why would you pass speech laws in the United States of America? I don't care if it's for Muslims, Christians, white people, Asians. Like, I don't believe in speech laws. And it's the same way, like, with all that, they just call you anti-Semitic if you talk about it. If you call me a millennial, I don't care. If you say millennials are lazy, I don't care. If you say millennials are the worst generation of all time, it doesn't bother me because I don't think I'm a net sum of my entire generation. I'm not offended at all. You'll never even see me do anything but laugh at it. But you call a boomer, it's like you walked into a black barbecue and screamed the N-word. Like, boomers are like, did you just call me a boomer? Like, it's like, why does that bother you? You call someone something, they say you're an anti-Semite. You call a boomer, they freak out. It's like, it's like they act like it's a slur. Like, why does it bother you so much? But, what I wanted to talk about, though, and I'm going to play this clip again because I know there's more people in here. And to be honest, it's worth 2 minutes, regardless if you've already seen it. But when I found out that Trump, the GOP, was taking hundreds of millions of dollars to infringe on the First Amendment, taking hundreds of millions of dollars to fight wars for foreign nations and do foreign objectives for foreign nations, I immediately started talking about it. And I basically got blacklisted from Republican media. Not that I care. I'm just letting you guys know how it works. So if someone has done what I'm doing now for longer or at least the same amount of time as I have, and they've never told you about the family that's bankrolling Trump to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars, it's like trying to play a chess, but you're missing the queen. You can't play. It's like trying to explain a story, but you don't include the ending or the beginning or the middle. It's like it's not even possible to explain what's going on if you don't know who's bankrolling these politicians. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but this is how politics works in every industry. If you see Patrick Mahomes on television selling Subway sandwiches, he's not doing it because he loves Subway sandwiches and he just was inspired for free to do it. He's getting paid to do it. Aaron Rodgers gets paid by State Farm. Everyone is doing things for money in this world. You show up to work for money. But I like Donald Trump so much that I think he does everything for free. No, he doesn't. He's doing it for money, just like everyone in this world. Why do you give Trump a pass that you wouldn't even give your own pastor? It's like fascinating that people psychologically are so obsessed with Trump that they just can't look at this stuff. And why do other news journalists not tell you about this stuff? Because it's almost like they're playing stupid or something purposely. And then years later, now all of a sudden they tell you, but it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to give another example, and then I'm going to play this clip. And I got to give credit to Robert Barnes, even though he blocked me on Twitter for talking about Zionism, and now he talks about it all the time. So you can unblock me at any point, Robert Barnes, for being honest about what you're saying now 5 years ago, just like everyone else. But anyway, Robert Barnes did research and found out that before Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett when she was an option, Amy Coney Barrett was always a bad choice for a judge if you're a conservative. She was pro-lockdown. She had sided in favor of lockdowns while we're in a lockdown. So Robert Barnes reported this, right? I came out and did a show about it, and I say, guys, use our citizen pressure voice to tell Trump to pick a better judge because we're in a lockdown. This is one of the most important choices of Trump's political career, a Supreme Court justice who's going to sit on the court for 50 years. And Amy Coney Barrett is pro-lockdown. She's not even conservative. Robert Barnes said it. I said it. Maybe you could count 5 people who talked about it. 99% of MAGA. Do you remember? Amy Coney Barrett's owning the libs. Amy Coney Barrett's owning the libs. She's writing on a board. She's holding up a piece of paper. And I'm sitting there and everyone, oh, Anomaly, you're black-pilled. Anomaly, you're so negative. I'm not negative. I'm happy. I'm hilarious. And I'm very accurate. I'm just not retarded and I'm not fake. So then people perceive that as I'm like so pessimistic. I'm doing my job. If you wanted me to like suck off government or something, I would just quit and do what everyone else is doing. Not that it's like my job is to tell you the truth. It's like, Anomaly, how dare you tell me the truth? Why don't you just suck off the government like my favorite influencers? Why do you pay these people millions of dollars to suck off the government? Like, aren't you embarrassed that that's what you want? Oh, just tell me lies, Anomaly, like them do. I like DC Drano. I'm sure you do. Oh, look at Amy Coney. Anyway, then 3 years later, Amy Coney Barrett sucks. Trump's complaining about her. DC Dingbats complaining about her. All these people are complaining about her. And then it's like, oh, I got tricked by her. You got tricked by her. I didn't get tricked by Amy Coney Barrett because I do my job. I tell you the truth. I do it 4 years in advance, 3 years in advance. She didn't change on Trump. She didn't betray Trump. Trump's a fucking idiot. Most influencers are fucking retards. And she's always been a garbage. It's just no one told you. So then they do it. And then they're like, oh, I can't believe it. And then she sides with vaccine mandates and they don't even talk about it. Of course she's going to side with vaccine mandates because she sided with lockdowns before Trump picked her. Trump is actually stupider than George W. Bush. George W. Bush and his father picked better Supreme Court justices than Donald Trump. Donald Trump picked Kavanaugh, who's a half-baked guy, Amy Coney Barrett, who completely sucks and sided with vaccine mandates, and that Gorsuch guy who I don't even know. Maybe he's the best of the three, but he's not as good as Alito and Thomas. And I don't like the Bush family at all, but I'm just saying Alito and Thomas were chosen by Bush and Bush. Trump picked 3 Supreme Court justices, and not one of them is as good as Alito or Bush. So it's like he's an embarrassment. What has he done? Oh, he's fought the media. He's letting the Ellison family buy up the entire media. Trump is like the biggest Trojan horse, the most overrated fraud in modern history. And I'm going to play this clip. If you can't figure it out at this point, he defends Bill Clinton because he is Bill Clinton. They are puppets to the same people.
I'd say that it was accurate to say that I felt closer to her than to him.
And for the record, why was that?
Because I had seen her more and because she was very good friends with Evelyn Rothschild and his wife, Lynn.
I was introduced to him by the lady-in-law Rothschild.
Wow.
And I was told, yeah, and you know, he knew all the most prominent people.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
Miriam gave my campaign indirectly and directly $250 million. She was number one. She stood up bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years. And I said, Alan, I agree with you. So we can do it. Think about it.
Alan's here someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan?
She said, think about it. I'll give you another $250 million.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy, and he'd come up to the office, and there was nobody more aggressive than Sheldon. I think I spent more time with him and you, because you usually came up together.
Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I can think of. Look at her sitting there so innocently. She's got $60 billion in the bank, $60 billion. And I think she's saying no more. And she loves Israel, but she loves it, and they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very supportive of me.
Can I come over, please? I say, Sheldon, I'm president of the United States. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's like maybe tomorrow. How about tomorrow? No, please, just for a little while. And he'd always say 10 minutes. It turned out to be about an hour and a half, right? And what he did is he fought for Israel. That's all he really fought for. He just wanted to take care of.
But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That might mean Israel, I must say. We love you. Thank you, darling, for being here. That's a great honor. Great honor. She's a wonderful woman.
All right, so I'm gonna stay. I mean, I would really like to keep this under an hour. I appreciate you guys, but I'll answer a few questions. Everything you need to know is in the first 50 minutes of this, and the story's not going to change until people wake up. So I'm fascinated that so many people are just bending in a pretzel to make excuses for this war that Trump isn't even making himself. Like what inspires a grown adult to bend in a pretzel to defend a billionaire Epstein Rothschild friend who works for mega donors more than they would defend their own children and family? Like what inspires that? Why are people doing that? It's kind of crazy. Someone said, I love how he's actually spewing the truth. Well, Trump is interesting. And even like Rubio, it's like he told the truth about why we did this, you know, at a certain point. I guess they're allowed to say it because they work for them. So it's like, okay, but someone said, I think we all know Anomaly. We were just passing time complaining. Well, I'm not complaining. I'm just stating reality. I just want to be able to accurately speak. I don't want to lie. I don't want to do that. But like I said, there's multiple functions to this live stream. To be honest, business is not really one of them. Like I know people are like, oh, you're just going to go live for money. This isn't even like 10% of my income anymore. Like I don't even make that much money live streaming. I'm sure if I like did more of it, but it's like, this doesn't even serve a business purpose for me anymore going live. It's more like, it's good for me. It's like therapeutic. It's good for other people because if you're online and everybody's lying and just being stupid, it's nice to hear somebody calmly just speak the truth, or not calmly, I guess, today. And then also, you know, hopefully, even if we can get 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people to figure it out, that's more than there were yesterday. So really, that's the purpose of these. So yeah, I mean, in some ways, I wouldn't call it complaining, but until enough people come to certain conclusions, nothing's going to change. And, you know, I guess I would say I'm shocked, and maybe I wouldn't say shocked's the right word, but I'm disappointed that, and I don't know the true numbers, but I'm disappointed to see so many people still acting exactly like they did during George Bush. Like, it's shameful for not all, but a lot of Republicans to, you know, they were wrong about George Bush for 15 to 20 years. They acted obnoxious, arrogant, rude, ignorant. They called you names. They called you a terrorist. They did all these things, right? For 15, 16, 17 years straight. And then Donald Trump gets in and tells them the media is lying. And then they figure it out by like 2020. And they're like, oh, wait. Even Pete Hegseth, you could find a video of him saying, I'm a neocon in rehab. I was a neocon my whole life. Now I'm not, right? I'm in rehab. I'm so sorry. I made mistakes with John McCain or whatever. Like, this is everybody who was believed George Bush's propaganda. They admitted in the last 5 years that they're sorry, that they're wrong, that they made a mistake. And then it's like, I understand why the Epstein class thinks that people are cattles. Like literally Epstein's in emails like, yo, these goy, these cattle, like, it's like a lot of cattle want to prove them right. You know, I have no problem calling people cattle if they act like cattle. I'm not offended by those words because they're not wrong if you're going to act like that. Like, it's only wrong if you don't act like cattle. So, you know, then Trump comes along and all of a sudden every single person who just said, yeah, I got tricked for the last 17 years, but let me act exactly like I did in 2001. Let me use the same insults, make the same mistakes, use the same logic, and just assume that this time it's going to be different because I like Donald Trump. They're obsessed with characters, you know? Here's the thing. If I have loyalty to somebody, my family, my father, my mother, you know what I'm saying? My siblings, I have loyalty to my family. I have loyalty to God. I believe I have loyalty to my country. you know, I have loyalty to my good friends who are like basically family. Um, I don't have loyalty to politicians. Like down the list of loyalty, like I would say my loyalty, like in the top level would be like God and my parents, right? My parents created me, God created me. That's like top level. Right below them, but pretty much on the same level is my siblings and my family. Like I have ultimate loyalty to anybody in my family. And then it's like right below that would be like, you know, my country, or maybe that would be on the same level too. And then it's like my really good friends who I consider family at this point. And then like I could like go down the like I have more loyalty to like the barista I get coffee from, my neighbors. Like I could think of like 1,000 people that I have loyalty to. I can't possibly go further down than like a politician or a billionaire who runs a company like that. It's like, you know, you got Trump supporters. It would be like putting Bill Gates on the same level of God and your family on your list of loyalty. I really don't understand it. It's like, why do you have so much loyalty to a billionaire builder who used to donate to Hillary Clinton, who defends Bill Clinton, who gave Bill Gates a job, who took money from the pharmaceutical industry, who takes hundreds of millions of dollars from basically donors that he believes works for a foreign nation, who pressure him and bully him into doing things for a foreign nation. He's basically selling America out to Israel, and he admits it on a stage. Why do boomer Trump tards have more loyalty to that person than their own family? Like it's so crazy to me. Like why? You know, even when I liked Donald Trump, I liked him based off of the information that I had. I didn't have like crazy loyalty to him just because. Once I realized that he wasn't who I thought he was and he was selling out, I was like, ew. He's like every other politician who you should have no loyalty. You shouldn't have loyalty to a politician. They're working for you. And if they're going to take money from other people, you should immediately call it out. Immediately. Like that, it doesn't matter who it is. If I ran for office, oh, I like Anomaly. Okay, cool. I appreciate that you like me. I'd rather that. But don't just like, if I ever run for office, don't just like me because you like me. If I took money from Big Pharma, if I took money from Israeli donors, if I took money from any donors, Saudi donors, Mexican donors, like it doesn't matter. Like if I started taking money from someone like that and then acting differently, you should be able to point it out. Like Anomaly just took $100 million from the Saudi sheik, and now he's like, you know, more loyal to Saudi than America. Like call it out if I ever run for politics and take money from anybody, like just like you do with everybody. Like why is that so hard for people to do with Trump and Biden? And it's crazy to me. It's the solution is actually so simple. Someone said, I wish you would get 100 times this every stream. You've been honest and sincere for years. You're doing great work. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. I'll take what I could get. So it's all good. The solution is so easy. And if we can't figure it out, then Jeffrey Epstein is right. You know, just like he called Madonna cattle and goy and stuff. It's like everyone is cattle. If you know, do you want to prove these people right? Are you an animal? Do you have the brain of an animal? Because humans and animals are different, because humans have critical thinking skills. Humans have imagination. You know what I'm saying? And animals just sit there and like would walk into like a slaughterhouse and not even realize it. So you have a decision. Like, are you a human being? Are you of the same blood and the same DNA and the same human makeup as the people who wrote the Constitution, the people who build buildings, the people who fly planes? Or are you an animal? Like, you know, how could you even be mad at these people? Like, it's like, I'm mad at the Rothschilds, but I love Israel. They are Israel, essentially. There is no modern state of Israel without the Rothschilds. If you like Israel, you pretty much have to like the Rothschilds. How could you disrespect the people who got it? Like, I have more respect for somebody who says, I like Israel and I appreciate the Rothschilds for getting it, than I have someone who's like, I'm obsessed with Israel and I think my kids need to die in a war for the people who think Jesus is boiling in hot poop. But I don't like the banking family that got the country. How? Why? What? It's like, yeah, it's like, I like the Constitution. I just don't like anybody who wrote it. Then what's the point? Like, you're taking credit for something you didn't do. It doesn't make any sense. Someone says, is a follower of Jesus Christ a disciple? I can't stamp these words are not good. Any Christian, listen, I'm not acting like I'm the perfect person, but you know, if you're a moral person, especially Christians, you should have deep sympathy for any woman, any child, any war, any soldier. The media creates wickedness by making you hate people. It's like, if you hate someone so much that you're blinded, it doesn't matter who it is, because they're going to use that hate against you. Even if you're right in the direction of how you're hating, it will be manipulated and used against you, and then they'll exploit it. Like, let's just say you hate terrorists, but you watch Fox News. They'll get you thinking you're going overseas to fight terrorists while the United States government's working with the terrorists. But you can't see it because you're so blinded by your hate for the other side. So, you know, it's important to just be able to pay attention and see everything for what it is, because I think there's so many Christians that are like, yeah, turn it into rubble, yeah, blow it all up. And it's like, are you like Satan's servant or something? Like, what? I can't think of any country in the world that I would want that to happen to. Literally none, because I'm not a psychopath. But they've got you with media so convinced that you're doing the work of the Lord by wanting to blow up an entire region and kill a bunch of women and children, and you justify that because some Zionist on the television told you it's not happening or it's blood libel. Like, what's wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the end of the day, my focus is on myself, because I have my own, I'm not going to sit and judge the world through a lens that I wouldn't judge myself, because I'm not a perfect person. And I think it's more important to become better than it is to tell other people to be better. But what I would say is, I would feel really broken and lost if I were a Christian just like that, deceived. Like, you got to get right, because that's a crazy way to act and think. But they got millions of Christians thinking and acting that way, and it's like, it's definitely not moral. And the whole gamble essentially is, we're going to do this and it's going to end, and then we're going to be at peace, or we're going to benefit from it. Where's the proof of that? Where is your proof? Is America better than it was 20 years ago? 95% of people would say no. So our country's not better. Is our infrastructure better? Most people would say no. Most Republicans would say no. Most Christians would say no. You could go through everything in America. Is healthcare better than it was 20 years ago? Everyone says no. Is infrastructure better? No. Are airports better? No. Are politics better? No. Is society better? No. Is television better? No. Are the ads on television better? No, they're more evil. Is pornography more widespread? Yes. Is gambling more widespread? Yes. You go through things that Christians have an issue with, and you could literally just point to everything in our country, and it's nearly impossible for them to name one thing that's actually better now. Think on your own. And I'm not complaining. I like the world, but it's like, what's better now than it was 10 or 15 years ago? It's not like I'm such a victim and I hate this country. It's just nobody, like, hell, I know for a fact healthcare is worse now than it was 10 years ago. It's like factual. I can't think of anybody, unless you're just grifting off of like the government system. Anybody that pays any sort of money doesn't think healthcare, oh, it's really good now, but it wasn't 5 years. No, it's worse. Everything's worse. So our country's getting worse. The Middle Eastern wars are going on. We're spending more money. We're gaining more resources. The wars have not ended, but the gamble is that it's going to end with Iran. It's for sure going to end now. This is the one that's going to end them all, and they're all going to stop, and the world's going to be at peace. No, they're going to go after Russia harder, and they're going to go after China. And if they can eliminate any opposition to sovereignty, and they have the entire world under the same grid, now your gamble is that they're doing all of this stuff so that the whole world can be at peace together. China's at peace right now. They're fine. They're all Chinese. They might not be running it the way you would want to, but China's fine. It's not like people are in the streets killing each other. China's safe. China's clean. China's nice. And if Chinese people don't like it, they could just move to another country, and if they like it, they could stay there. China's fine. We don't need to fight China to make it better. We're going to make it shittier. We're going to make Russia shittier. We've made Europe shittier, America shittier, but we're going to make Iran better. We've made America worse. We've made Canada has gotten worse. Let's think of our other allies. Australians say that their country's getting worse and less free. England's getting worse. Germany's getting worse. France is getting worse. Belgium's getting worse. Spain is getting invaded with migrants. Italy's got invaded by boats. But we're going to fix Iran and make it better. We just can't make any country in our alliance better, and we're just screwing up all of our cities. And every once Republican city is now run by Democrats, and we can't fix it, and we can't win the elections. But we're going to make Iran good because Sean Hannity and Bibi Netanyahu said, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm actually agreeing. I'm agreeing with the Epstein class that you are cattle if you can't figure that out. Like, if you can't figure out what I just said, you literally are cattle. And this is my, this is my deal with the Epstein class that I want to strike for humanity. Not that they're going to listen to me, but here's a fair deal. The boomers and the retards that act literally like cattle, why don't you take them and treat them like cattle and then leave the rest of us alone? Can we do that? Because I agree with you that most people, especially the older generation and especially the Trumpers and especially, to be honest, a lot of the Democrats, most of the Democrats as well, they actually do act like cattle. You're completely right. But a lot of us are not cattle. So can you leave us alone? The critical thinkers, the people who build, the people who are not brainwashed by politicians. Like, can you take the cattle away and then leave the rest of us alone, or no? That's probably not the plan. But it's just like, America's getting worse, Canada's getting worse, Australia's getting worse, Europe's getting worse, all our allies are getting worse, but we're going to fix Russia, China, and Iran and make it better, even though we can't name a single person in our alliance that's getting better. The reason our alliances aren't getting better is because we're under the thumb of people who hate us. Someone said doom and gloom commentary. I'm a happy, successful, extremely optimistic, extremely joyful person. My life is great. I treat people good. I'm a joy to be around. I'm just telling you the reality of it, Mark. Maybe if you weren't so selfish, you'd want, do you look at London, Mark, and say, London is better than it used to be? You don't do that. Are you dooming and glooming? No, you're just being like, London's getting invaded. It is getting invaded because your stupid generation started a bunch of wars for people who think you're cattle, and they plan on enslaving your grandkids. So, either you sit and lie about it to yourself and go on cruises and blow through your 401k on yourself, or you tell the truth about it so your grandkids don't get enslaved. It's up to you, buddy, but it's not pessimism. It's just the reality. London's not better than it was 50 years ago. Nobody thinks it is. It's not pessimistic to say. I'm telling you that the reason it's all happening. Someone said, it saddens me how much MAGA is cheering this on. Inverse TDS. It's shocking. Someone said that you're right. There's a spiritual component to this whole thing too. People don't read the Bible anymore. The patterns are all there with the same tribe too. Yeah. And once again, I always say this just to be accurate, because I want to, no matter what happens in my life, I always want to be honest, where it's like I have a lot of things to work on as well, in the sense of I don't want to ever be that Christian or conservative or person or human to be like, oh, you all got to do this, but I don't have to do anything. Just like everyone else, I have stuff to do too. And in many ways, I've gotten way smarter than I was in my 20s and stuff, but it's like I have a long way to go, like every human on earth. With that being said, not only are people not reading their Bibles, most conservatives and Republicans aren't actually Republican, biblically or in any way. It's like a lot of time, it's like the woman, the wives completely running the show. The men are completely, subservient. They have no spine. You know what I'm saying? They don't lead at all. It's like, and I'm not blaming the women. It's because men are so pathetic, but it's like most what it used to mean to be Christian and conservative. Not that anyone was ever perfect in humanity, but it's actually being Christian and conservative meant being Christian and conservative, trying to follow the laws of God to your best of your ability and trying to conserve economically, fiscally, socially, based on biblical values. Now, think about the average. What do you think when you think of the average Republican? I'm not trying to be rude. I think of influencer chicks who don't want to listen to any dude. They just want to go to Mar-a-Lago and hang out with Trump and act like he's Jesus. You got, men who think that being Republican means getting fat, drinking beer, watching Sean Hannity and yelling on Facebook. So, Trump, blah, blah. It's that's not conservative. That's not Christian. That's not biblical. They're not conserving anything. Trump is a socialist, borderline communist with his policies, but you're a liberal if you point it out, because if Trump prints trillions of dollars, gives it to his friends and gives it to the pharmaceutical industry and Israel and all these foreign nations like Ukraine, it's not socialism anymore because their guy did it. It's the average Republican doesn't have any values. They're total empty vessels that are living vicariously through Donald Trump like he's a video game character. It's the same way like when I watch the Super Bowl, I'm like rooting for a team. It's like I'm not the quarterback, but I want the quarterback to win. It's okay. It's sports. I can't be on television playing sports all the time. But with Trump, he's not a quarterback. He's the president who's taking donor money, and most of these fat losers just sit there and they're like, "That's my quarterback," blah. And it's like they don't have any values. They're not fiscally conservative. They're not socially conservative. They don't believe the Bible. It's like, and I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just being honest. Like Republicans over 60, they love homosexuals who support Trump. Like they don't, it's like the Bible doesn't matter to them. They'll be like, "Oh, look, that gay guy likes Trump. I like him so much." Okay. I'm not saying you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying, like, what do they do? Like, if you look at the values of the Bible, it's like their daughters are going off to liberal universities. They don't even like their parents half the time. It's like they don't believe any of the sexuality laws of the Bible. I don't know. I'm not trying to act like I'm some big critic, but it's like, okay, let's go. They're not socially conservative. Let's go to fiscally conservative. At least they're that, right? They really care about. No, they don't care about that either. Trump's running up the deficit, and they'll call me a liberal if I say that he's running up the deficit. They get mad when I talk about it. I say that he's doing socialism, and they call me a communist. It's like Trump is a communist. I'm way more conservative and libertarian on fiscal policies than Trump is. But if I were to do socialism like Trump is doing, I wouldn't do it for the pharmaceutical industry in Israel. I would try to do it to build infrastructure like every government does. So it's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but what is the average Republican? The average Republican isn't a Christian or a conservative. They're like a loser Trump fan. It's like they don't have values. And that's what happens when you don't have your own brain and your own soul and your own identity. You just become a fan. You just become a sheep. It's like you can like and support somebody, but also have your own perspective. And a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. Like, I think that most liberal women are feminists, right? Most liberal women, which is over half of women, right? So like if you're in the dating pool nowadays and you're like, okay, I want to find my woman. It's not like back in the day where you meet someone in town is easy. Like 60 to 70% of women are liberal. They think abortion is the most that's so important to them. I need abortions. I need my birth control. Black Lives Matter. Ukraine war is good. I like my vaccines. I wear my masks. I'm triple vaccinated. That's 70% of women nowadays. It's like they're literally, when you talk to like liberal women like about politics, it's like abortion's like their number one issue, or like birth control. It's like, why is that number one? I mean, whatever. And then let's just say like 35 or 30% of women are Republicans. They're not even conservative. It's like most Republican women are like girl bosses who just want to, like wear a MAGA hat and be hot, which is fine. I don't care. I'm not like a hater. I'm just saying it's like, I would say less than 10% of women are actually even conservative. Like they want to cosplay, but they don't want to do it. Okay. And honestly, like most men are not worthy, I don't think, of like women are. It's not like, oh, it's all women's fault. It's like most men are not worthy of listening to. So I understand why women don't want to listen to men nowadays. It's not like I'm blaming them. I'm just saying that's like the country that we live in. Someone said with a super chat, only weak men put other men over themselves and then wonder what's wrong with women, identifying with Trumpy hubris over real love from God. 100%. I blame men more than women 100%, because the man is supposed to lead. And if you don't, then everything gets led astray. With that being said, I just think that's the world we live in. Like most conservative adults aren't fiscally conservative. They aren't socially conservative. And this is the point that I want to make, because on one hand, I understand it. I'm not going to go micromanage everyone else's life, right? Like I am responsible for my life. But when you talk to most people over 50 and over 60, they just don't really like care about anything. And I understand tapping out, right? Like part of me gets it. It's like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do it. Just let it be. Like in some ways I respect that. I'm not saying this is necessarily bad. I'm just like openly having a conversation about it. But in another way, I do think there is an element of like caring too little about everything. Then, like, if you have no beliefs and no thoughts, say, I don't care what other people do, but I have a really strong idea of what I think is right. Even though I'll be like, listen, everybody makes mistakes, this and that, but I do believe what this says. I do believe this. Sometimes you meet, and a lot of the younger generation and liberals are like this as well. And I think it's what makes them like, lose themselves is they don't want to have an opinion because they're like afraid to have an opinion. So you like talk to like a liberal in their 20s, or let's just say not a liberal, somebody who's like, they lean left, but like they don't want to be right. And it's like, you don't have to be left or right, but you need an identity at a, like, who are you? What do you think about stuff? Like, what are your opinion based on? If you're just like, I'm an open vessel as far as like, I don't really have any opinions about anything, then someone will give you an opinion. Then you go watch a movie and think you're just watching a movie and they're brainwashing you, but you don't realize it. Your musicians are brainwashing you. It's like, this is what's happening to people, and they're just empty vessels for the world to fill up their vessel. And then they become very worldly. And it's like, they think they have no opinions, but their opinions end up just being whoever's the richest person who can feed them the information. And then on the Republican side, of course, people have more opinions, but I do find that not all, but I think like the over 50, 60 crowd, it's like they just like Trump a lot. I'm not I'm not trying to be rude, but that's just my observation. Like they don't have these moral, like you meet a 25-year-old who doesn't like Trump, who's more right wing than Trump. They have conviction. They're like, these are my beliefs. Trump's not right wing enough. Trump's not doing this enough. He's working for a foreign nation. Like they have their own worldview that's based off of their country, God, and what's real. But you go to like a 55-year-old Trump fan or a 70-year-old Trump fan, and it's just like, what are your opinions about religion? What are your opinions about race? Oh, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. I don't care about anything. Okay. I get it. That's nice. But like, what do you think? Well, what does Trump think? You know what I'm saying? Are you against war with Iran? I'm against war with Iran because Trump said so. All right, we just started war with Iran. This is not war with Iran. This is not war. But Trump said it's war. But it's not a war. Look at the Constitution. But Pete Hegseth said it's war. Oh, it's a short war. It's a short war that I support. It's like there's nothing to them. They have, and that's in the world that the country that we lived in looks like a generation for 50 years that just didn't give a crap about anything but themselves. They weren't paying attention to people who tried to warn them, like Pat Buchanan and others, 30, 40 years ago. Probably even Ross Perot to some extent. I'm not really familiar with him, but he seems pretty based on some topics. And it's just like, who cares about but at a certain point, people did care. Like George Washington did care about something. Thomas Jefferson did care about something. Ben Franklin cared about a lot of things apparently because he was sleeping around, but these people did have ideas. And then when you don't have ideas, you get conquered by people who do have ideas for you. If you have no idea for your future, and you have no idea what's going on with your ethnic group, and you have no idea what's going on with your religion and your politicians, and someone else does, then they get shifted to what the people who actually are thinking about stuff do. And, I think that's why it's important not to be a dick to people and not to hate other people or be like a hypocrite and yell at other people. But it's important to believe something and have your own opinions. You can't be a generation that just like, oh, the television told me something. Oh, yeah, that's what I think now. Oh, Trump wants Doge. Oh, Doge is good. Doge is good because it's going to stop the deficit and stop the spending. Oh, Trump did tariffs. They're good because it got us money. But he spent more money than he got. First of all, hundreds of billions of dollars are from American companies and taxpayers, but trillions are being spent. So we're going further into debt. Oh, I don't care about that because it's Trump. It's like these politicians are having like an all-you-can-steal sale from America as our boat's sinking, and certain people just don't care. They do, and this, I've said it before, but you talk long enough to them and they're like, oh, I'm not going to have to deal with this for that long. It's your generation who's going to have to deal with it. Man, I wouldn't want to be a kid in this world. Okay. If you're acknowledging that it's all going in the wrong direction and you're not going to have to deal with it, will you at least let somebody younger speak the truth about it since they are going to have to deal with it? Or are you going to sit on Facebook all day bitching at them? Because if you're going to sit on Facebook all day complaining about people who have to grow up in this world while acknowledging that it's all going in the wrong direction and you wouldn't want to have to grow up in this world, then like what? Why? You know what I'm saying? It's like an animal that just keeps going, bah, 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 and you're like, yo, stop. And it's like, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like, two options: say something intelligent or shut up. But they just they won't shut up, but they won't say anything intelligent. It's just like they want to annoy everyone and be evil for the rest of their existence. Not everyone. I'm not saying it's everyone. It's just like a lot, too many. It's like when you talk about cities and everybody says you're racist. Everyone of a certain race in cities is not committing violent crimes. It's not true. But the rate is higher than other things going on. That is true. You know, like, how do you say it without offending somebody? I don't know. It's not all boomers, but the number's way too high. You know what I'm saying? The entire media is not controlled by one race and one religion, but it's definitely kind of is, though. It's not everybody of that group but it's some. It's the ones with the money and the power. Like, my friends don't have money and power. I mean, some of them do in some industries, I guess, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not friends with the Rothschilds. That's Epstein, you know, and Bill Clinton. I'm not friends with like Howard Lutnick. That's Donald Trump. Like, Howard Lutnick has power, not my friends. You know what I'm saying? My Jewish friends that I talk to, they're not Howard Lutnick. You know, if they were, I probably wouldn't really know them. They probably would be like on to the next social circle. Like, why even talk to this moron? Like, I could lobby the president. You know, I could get him to do tariffs and convince Americans it's for them. It's like, all right, well, that went fast. All right, let's see. Well, you can vote for Vance, Palantir 28, so there's hope. I think Vance cooked his chances, honestly, with the last couple weeks. Vance is a guy who wouldn't be able to be there if he weren't willing to play a role. He's playing a role. That role is allowing him to be there, but it's probably costing his political future. So, you know, like, that's the game you have to play. That's the game you have to play to be there. Someone said, Anomaly, stop calling Gen Xers boomers, then ask why people get offended. Gen Xers are not boomers. You could say anything about millennials. I would never care. If I say Trumpy boomers, people are like, not me. Then you're not a Trumpy boomer. If you're a boomer who's not Trumped out of your mind, then you're not a Trumpy boomer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't say whatever you want about millennials. Say all millennials are stupid. All millennials are lazy. Millennials ruin the world. I don't care. I'll just say what I think. It's that, like, it's the people that are the most offended that are probably like the most problematic. You know, they're like, it's not me. Okay, then it's not you. It's like, white guys can't rap, but I can. I rap really good, mommy. It's like, relax, you know, like, you know, oh, white guys can't play basketball good. Well, I can play basketball good. But don't say that. Don't stereotype. I don't like mayonnaise sandwiches. It's like, grow up, you know? I could dance good. Look at me. I dance good. I'm not one of the white boys who can't dance. Then dance, bro. There's a bunch of white dudes on TikTok that are killing it. Like, do you see them crying? Do you see some, like, you know, there's some fire, like, European dudes that are like killing it, like, you know, and everybody likes them and nobody hates them. And like, literally black people and white people are like, you're really cool. Are they like, I can dance good? No, they just dance good. And then everybody likes it. Like, nobody hates them. So it's like, I don't get what the point of crying about it. Who cares what people say? Who cares about stereotypes? Stereotypes are not always true, but it's a baseline of statistics. Like, every liberal didn't get vaccinated, but most of them did. You know what I'm saying? Every Republican wasn't against lockdowns, but a lot of them were. You know, like, do we have to sit here and baby boomers? Do we have to baby the baby boomers? Baby boomers. You guys are babies. Like, stop, you know? Would I ever do stand-up? It's a whole nother craft to learn, but I think you're trying to say I'm hilarious, which I've always thought my whole life. I've sat there staring in the mirror saying, this is good. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think I'm funny. This is my stand-up, you know? Nobody wanted me to rap. I had to do my own thing. Nobody wanted to give me a microphone. I bought my own. nobody wants to let me do stand up. I'm doing my own. So, this is my stage. Which is funny because if you think about it, like there's more people here than there are at some comedy stores. Like there's over 500 people here now, just watching live, not counting who's going to watch it after. So someone said some women refuse to follow. This isn't the man's fault. Yeah. There's a problem on both sides of the gender spectrum, but as a man, you just can't sit and cry about it. I think, you got to take responsibility, but also you got to just go out there and find what's yours. Like I'm not sitting around and crying about it. I'm just talking about it. But yeah, it's an issue. I mean, I could sit and talk about that for hours. I do find it interesting, but I just think, yeah, it's not like all men's fault. And I do think for certain men or just men in general, like the dating scene is crazy. It's crazy on both sides, but like I think the average woman has way more options. Like the average woman has so many options and the average guy does not have that many options. So like it's not like it used to be where it's like, hey, I work over there at that factory. Do you want to marry me? And she's like, sure, Bobby. It's not like that anymore. These women are just like all over the place. Not all, but some, they just, so yeah, it's tough for guys, but we can't just sit around and cry about it. We got to someone said passport bros. Dude, I've seen it all. And here's what I will say too. I think all of it's not funny, but like, I don't hate anybody. Like if I see a passport bro who's like, I'm in Argentina finding my wife, it's kind of funny. But it's just like, I don't know, like everyone's going to try to do what they want to do, I guess. Like, some people just get so mad at it. Like, I hate those guys. I hate clavicular. I hate these women. I hate that. It's like, I don't, like I have my opinions about who I like and who I think is wrong, but what someone else is doing is not like, I don't know. It's not influencing me in one direction or another. I don't want to become jaded. I don't want to become influenced by what others are doing, but I do find it all kind of funny. Not everything, but someone said Anomaly is a better man than me. Maybe, I don't know. Someone said a passport bro. Someone said it's pathetic. I mean, here's the thing though, right? Every guy, like, I'm going to try to say this without saying it in the wrong way. Like, say you see a guy who's like, I'm trying to say this without getting in trouble, but I'm just going to say it because I probably said it before years ago. Like, let's take Harvey Weinstein. Let's go right at it. All right. Obviously, I don't like Harvey Weinstein. He's was a Democrat. He's kind of a weird looking guy. And I'm sure he was a total weirdo, right? So it's like, I'm not a Harvey Weinstein fan at all. And I'm sure only the Lord knows what he did. I know what they said he did. I don't know what he actually did. But in no way am I defending Harvey Weinstein. I'm just accurately speaking, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Harvey Weinstein is, I mean, he could like get in shape and stuff, but like he just looks disgusting. And then women are like, oh, he used his power to get me to date him. Is he supposed to use his good looks? Like what, like, and also I lived in LA for 8 years. Women love money. Women love power. I couldn't find any chicks in LA when I was there that didn't like that. I was in my 20s and I was broke. I mean, I could hook up with women, but they weren't interested. Why would they want to date me when I'm 20 and broke when they could date some millionaire film guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what all the women in LA are doing. So it's like, with Harvey Weinstein, I'm sure he's done way worse stuff and I'm not defending it, but it's like, is it a crime for Harvey Weinstein to use his power to get women? Like he could just show up to a club and they're like, oh, look how attractive he is. No woman's doing that. No woman wants him for his looks, and they probably don't want him for his personality either. And then it's like if a woman's a 10 and a woman's a 1, that changes your entire life. It's like if you're a guy and you're a 10 out of 10 supermodel, women treat you way better than they treat a 5. Like that's just the reality of our world. And even if you're like a good-looking guy, women have access to a lot of good-looking guys. So it's like it's not even that easy as it once was for that. So I'm not justifying anything. I'm just observing the reality of our world. And I do think that, like, when you're talking about like passport bros and people are like, oh, it's pathetic. Like, I'm not a passport bro. I haven't even been to Europe or Asia. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't travel as much as I would like to. I would like to visit places, but I'm not going to like visit places to try to find a wife. But for some guys, like, if they're a 5 or a 4 or a 3 or a 1 to women in America and no women in America are giving them attention, and then they go to some foreign country and they're like a 10 out of 10 and all the chicks like them, I mean, is it their fault for wanting to go there? I don't know. Like, I could get women in America. I could get women in the city I'm in. I could get women in every city. But I don't know. Some people can't. So what are they going to do? And then same with like women. They'll be like, Harvey Weinstein used his power, and you're using your good looks to get a lot of things. If you were ugly, guys wouldn't want to do them for you as much. Other guys would, but not the guys that you want to date. That's just how it works. I don't know. That's how the dating scene works. It's like people use what they have. If you have a nice car, you use it. And women are impressed by it sometimes, and sometimes they're not. If you're like a supermodel woman, do you think guys just really like you for your personality? There's some girl with a better personality that's fat that guys don't want to spend money on and take to a $400 dinner. That is just the way it works. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I try to not judge or hate on anybody, because I mean, obviously there's people doing stuff I don't agree with, but like, I don't know. How is judging someone who passports to another country going to affect my life? I don't know. Like, or why are they doing it? Is it weird? Some of them are super weird. Yeah, but I don't know. It's just like the dating scene in America is super lopsided. A lot of chicks are feminists, and I think with technology, everybody has access to a lot of people. And if you're a woman who's moderately attractive, I think you have like hundreds or thousands of options. Let's just say I go on Instagram and I see some woman who's like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Just like, obviously every guy thinks she's hot, right? I'm successful. Oh, I'm an anomaly, whatever. You don't think every successful guy thinks she's also hot? Like, if I think she's that hot, am I the only one who thinks she's that hot? So, like, I'm sure their DMs look a lot different than my DMs. Like, their DMs probably have like, you know, 30 athletes, celebrities, entertainers, rappers, musicians, hedge fund guys, business guys, dentists, doctors, messaging them, what up, shorty? Not that they say, I don't know. That's just, I think a lot of men are getting jaded for that reason. I'm not saying it's justified, but I think a lot of men my age, or perhaps younger, or perhaps older, that are single are just getting a little jaded, because it's like, it's hard to find a chick off the grid. And if you really have high standards, and you like attractive women that have a good personality and stuff, it's just like harder to find them in nature. Like, oh, I just ran into them at the supermarket. That would be awesome. But most things are done digitally now. Everybody's on their phones all the time. Like, people are on dating apps. If you meet somebody, it's at a bar. Like, do you really want to meet someone at a bar? I'd rather not, but that's where you talk to people. You could talk to people at the gym, but then you're that guy just like hitting on everybody. It's kind of weird. So that's just the world we live in. I don't know. I'm aware of it. I'm not jaded about it, but I think sometimes men go too hard on women and women go too hard on men, but they're experiencing the same problems, but on the other side. And, the grass is always greener on the other side. So I try to be very thoughtful and compassionate about it. And I know why people are doing what they're doing, because it's just like, we're living in a digital era where mass communication has become normalized, and it's having a psychological effect on all of us, but the world is still awesome. I still think it's a cool place, and there's so much fun stuff to do. And, as like some trends are going in the wrong direction, but it's like, you can't just sit and cry about it all the time. You got to find fun social circles or fun things to do, or someone fun to hang out with. Like, it is what it is. But I just did that little whole rant because I if I talk to women that I'm just friends with, that are like, man, I don't like men or whatever, it's like, I listen to what they're saying and I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying. And then you listen to men and they're like, dude, all these women are doing all this stuff. And it's like, I see it from both sides. So I'm like, yes, but you don't want to let it change you for the worse. You just want to be the best version of yourself. And I think, regardless of who you are, if you're the best version of yourself, if you're fun to be around, if you're happy and pleasant, you're just going to boost, you're going to like, you know, you're going to boost your chances of everything and just be more likely to meet good people. Like that's all anyone can really do. Cause you know, as much as all these superficial things do matter to some people, I do still think like being funny or being charming, like that still does the trick in person. On a dating app, it might not work because people can't see it on a dating app. Like, oh, he's really charming. Nobody can see that. But, you know, in person, they're like, oh, that guy was, yeah, I like him. He's cool. Like, you know, it still matters. Someone said women are just doing what men have done for centuries before. It's possible. Someone said, plus you live in LA. What do you expect? Well, what I was saying is like, yeah, I mean, I when I was talking about the Harvey Weinstein thing, when they're like, oh, he's using his power to get women. I lived there for 7 years. I was like, are there women in LA that don't want those things? Because I would like to meet them because I literally was broke. And like, yeah, like I said, women would hang out with you, but I'm not gonna lie, my apartment was like terrible and I was super broke. And you know, if you're an attractive woman in your 20s and you're like, oh, I like this guy, but he's broke and his apartment sucks, I don't blame them for not wanting to like date or marry me. They're like, it's like, yeah, next, you know, like, I don't know. It's like, well, I tried. Thank you, Aaron. Someone said that said Harvey was innocent. I think Harvey Weinstein's like a bad guy who they just like were throwing as many things that they could for some reason. I don't know. Like it's like I don't know what he did, and I'm not even going to talk too much about it because I didn't follow the whole case. But from what I was hearing from the press, I didn't read the actual case. It was like he gave women movie roles, and they like and like invited them over his house, and I was like, they went to his house? I don't know. Like if a Sony executive's like, anomaly, you know, come to my hotel room at 1 a.m., I'd be like, no, they're probably gay or something. Or, you know, I don't know, like, why would they invite me to their hotel? You know, it's like, oh, I went to his house. Why? Because he had things I wanted. It's like the kid thing, like where they're like, yo, don't stop at a, you know, if a truck says, I have candy, hey kids, like don't listen, you know, like don't get in a van. My mom used to tell me like they're snatching kids. I was like, all right, I won't do that. It's a little different, but it's like Hollywood is filled with empty people. Even with the Epstein stuff, obviously there's a lot of real stuff, but there's probably people mixed in there too that were lying about it for money. I'm not saying all of them. I think Epstein was controlling politicians. I think he was throwing parties, and I think he was doing really messed up stuff. But it doesn't, like, this is the adult honest conversation that most people can't have. It's like you can't balance both and be like, yes, there's stuff, but if we want to be honest about it, you have to be able to separate what's real and what's not. And the issue is everybody just like leans into what they want to say, and then everything is just real to certain people. Someone said, do I know what Tarantino said? I think I know what you're talking about. And yeah, it's not good. If I'm thinking what you're thinking about, but this is the thing though. It's like they never charge people for that. They always charge people for other stuff. I'll give you another example that's maybe not so extreme to people. Like the crown prince or whatever of Iran. There's this video going around on Twitter where they like made his nose bigger than it really is. He already has a big nose, but like they made it way bigger and it looked like a clown. So I looked at it and I was going to comment on it because I was like, holy crap, his nose is huge. But then I went on YouTube to watch the original video and I realized that somebody just made it bigger. And 99% of people sharing it on Twitter, you've probably seen it if you're on X. Nobody's telling you that it's been enlarged. You know, and the logic that most people would have is, I hate the crown prince. He's a plant, you know, so I can lie about him and be wrong about him because he's a bad guy. Even if you think he's a bad guy, you're still wrong. That's the premise that I'm trying to get people to think. Like, you don't want to be the boy who cried wolf. If you talk about Epstein, or you talk about Harvey Weinstein, or you talk about politics, or you talk about the crown prince, or you talk about whatever you want to talk about, Israel, Palestine, if your words are not accurate, then you become a guy who's just not willing. I don't know. It's like, why lie? Why do you have to lie if he's so bad? Why do you have to? The enlarged nose is funny, but you have to understand it's fake. If you think it's real, you're just wrong. So that's kind of the premise that I'm saying. It's like, I don't think Harvey Weinstein is a good person. I don't think he's I'm sure I wouldn't stand him, and he's done a bunch of things. But if someone comes out and says something that's not any of those things, and you say, well, I don't like him, so I believe that, you could believe whatever you want. You could say whatever you want. You could believe every woman who comes out and says everything. But, I think a wise person would be able to separate and listen to it and be like, all right, well, this one I think is real, and this one I think is fake. This one I think is lying. This one I think is telling the truth. But we live kind of in a society, I think, where left wing and right wing, depending on what the politics of it is, people will believe everyone who says everything about somebody that they don't like, and then just steamroll with it. And then if you try to just have accurate commentary on it, they just say, oh, you're blah, 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 blah. You support Hamas, or the same logic. It's like, all right, no, but that's not true. But if you want to lie about it, I did a survey on my Instagram years ago, and I said, who thinks Bill Cosby's guilty? 85% of people said guilty. I said, who watched the trial? 15% of people, or I said, who read the actual charge? 15% of people. So the same amount of people that said that Bill Cosby was guilty is the same. It was the same exact percentage on the next poll who said that they didn't even look at it. So most of the country thinks Bill Cosby is guilty. Most of the country has no idea what he's even charged for and didn't even listen to any part of the court case. I did, because I was interested in it. And I think that it shouldn't have happened personally, because I don't think what people thought was the charge was actually the charge. And the person who was charging him, the story changed like 3 different times. And I was like, that's kind of, it's the same thing as the Iran thing. It's like, okay, you want to attack Iran, but you're doing it for their freedom, right? Okay, but you're doing it because they have nuclear weapons, right? But you're doing it because Israel attacked them first, right? But you're doing it because they were going to attack us, right? But you're doing it because they had a nuclear program, right? But you're doing it because they've been building it. It's 10 days away for 40 years, right? Like, it's hard to believe somebody that has a story that shifts that often. But we live in a world, like I said, that media kind of decides what everybody thinks, and then everybody just kind of goes along with it. People are talking about Diddy too. I mean, Diddy has become like the new Bill Cosby, in the eyes of everybody, where it's just like, Diddy did it. Diddy did a party. They charged him basically with trafficking people in to have consensual sex or something. And like every rich person flies women just like they buy dinners and stuff. Like that's just what everybody that's rich does, because they're so rich that it's like, are you trafficking a woman if you buy dinner for her and pay for dinner? I'm not saying that they were doing nothing ever, but I'm just being like, Diddy, I don't think was a good person. He was oddly friends with Ellen DeGeneres in a weird way. Like, I think he probably, but the fact that the whole world is like, it's Diddy, and then there's probably like 1,000 other people like Diddy that nobody talks about. I just noticed certain things like that, where I've never been like a fan of Diddy, and he's always been weird and sketchy to me. But what they say in the media and then what they charge somebody with is often like not the same. They could say whatever they want to make it seem like you did 10 million things, but then they can't prove it. And then they write a court case that has like nothing to do with anything that they just said for some reason. Another one that was like that was the Maduro arrest. Like, did anybody read what Maduro was arrested for? It's like what they say and everything, and then what they write in the court case. Because when you bring it to court, you have to be able to prove it. Another one, I'm sorry for going through all of these, but I'm just kind of doing it now. The Nick Shirley thing. Nobody was charged at that daycare, because when Nick Shirley went to show up at the daycare and be like, look, there's nobody there, was off hours. He didn't even go when the daycare was supposed to be open. So he went when it was closed. They said it was going to be closed, and he's like, look, no one's here. They've been charged for violations in the past. And obviously, I think there's a lot of fraud going on in the world and in Minnesota. But if it were as real as they told you it was on social media, and then everyone's like, why has nobody been charged? Why has nobody been arrested? Because there's a difference between saying something to you and making you believe something, and then bringing it to court and actually proving it in court. It's easy to trick you guys. It's easy to give you something that you think's bigger than it is. It's a lot harder to bring the evidence in court. And just like with Nick Shirley, for that case, he doesn't have evidence. He has a storyline that he's created, but he showed up at the daycare when they weren't there, and they weren't supposed to be there because he showed up on an off hour. I don't give a crap about a daycare in Minnesota. I'm just letting you know the facts of it. It doesn't mean I support them. I don't support or like Diddy. I don't like at all whatever the other guy's name is, Harvey Weinstein. I obviously think Jeffrey Epstein was one of the most diabolical people of our century, but I don't need to make up shit about them in order to make my case, because if they're as bad as we all think they are, then we should be able to prove that without lying, without making up stuff, right? If it's as bad as they told you it was in Minnesota, why has no one been charged from that daycare? Why has no one gone to court for that? Because they don't have a case. That's just like, it's just a fact, you know? And to me, I always like that blew up so fast. I'm not saying Nick's like a bad guy. He seems like a good, ambitious journalist and stuff. And I'm sure he'll do good work like he did. But it's just like, oh, look at this in Minnesota. Ignore the trillions of dollars worth of fraud. Ignore the fact that the government does more fraud than that in a day than these people will do in their lifetime, because it's just them in Minnesota. It's like, it's not just them in Minnesota that they'll do more. I'll snap my fingers. Ready? More fraud was done by the government than was done at that daycare in the snap of my fingers in that second. More money was printed. More money was given to somebody that paid somebody in politics. So they've arrested 100 people, not from that daycare, maybe from other things or something, but it's not from the original story. Who did they arrest? I don't mean. Let's see. Been charged or arrested at Leering daycare. Maybe at other ones or something, or they're doing other things in Minnesota. Let's see. At the Leering one. Yeah, not at the one that he went to. I mean, maybe at other ones. Like I said, they had violations in the past, but they didn't charge or arrest anybody at the one that they did it at. They might have done other. I mean, if and this is another thing too. The spotlight is on Minnesota right now. So it's like anything that happens there, they'll be like, look, we arrested somebody in Minnesota for fraud. They're probably arresting people all over the country all the time. Like people get arrested in New Jersey for fraud. People, like someone who Trump pardoned got arrested for like embezzling and fraud. Like people are getting arrested all over the place all the time in this country for doing stuff. I'm not saying that, I don't know. It's like someone else got arrested in Minnesota. It's like, yeah, I'm sure, but I don't know if it directly related from that, or maybe it did inspire them to go find something in Minnesota because they couldn't find anything on the Leering Center, Any thoughts on Lakewood, New Jersey? I've heard of Lakewood for a while. And I do find it like fascinating that like I've already known about that, like not to the extent of like the guy who did a documentary, and I didn't look at it, but Tyler Oliveira did like some sort of Lakewood, New Jersey documentary, and it's essentially a town that it's very like Orthodox and Hasidic Jewish, and I've heard this for years now. Like they have their own like police department or something. Like it's basically like their own world. And he went in there to talk about all of that, and then maybe also what he would consider them using the welfare system. So what are my thoughts on it? I would say I think it's super interesting that it's going mainstream, because I've known about it for like 10 years now. Not like the extent of it, but I just heard about it because it's like its own planet basically. Like yeah, they have their own infrastructure, it's like their own town. Tyler Oliveira is very brave, and I would say the GOP establishment is not going to treat this in the same way that they're going to treat the Somalians for obvious reasons. And I can't really fully speak on it because I didn't watch the documentary, so I don't know the extent of the fraud that he's claiming, or at least the welfare usage that he's claiming, because I haven't seen the documentary. So I think I would need to watch it to understand what he's showing in order to have like a better opinion. But like I said, I've heard of that area for a long time, and it's interesting that he put a massive spotlight on it. I'm sure a lot of them are not happy about it. And then I think the reaction to it is interesting as well, where like a bunch of, Israel firsters are like freaking out at Nick Shirley, because Nick Shirley was like, expose it all. And now the Zionists who loved Nick Shirley over the Somalian stuff, they're freaking out at him because they're like, oh my gosh, he's an anti-Semite. He's an anti-Semite. All these people are trying to do is living peacefully, and, they're not doing any fraud. Like I said, I don't know what exactly they're doing, but I do think, and it's not just Hasidics in New Jersey, but I think that they're probably really good at it and smart at it. But and this is something that with the Somalian thing too, right? Whether it's Jews in New Jersey or Somalians in Minnesota, or anybody in any country, or not country, but state, I'm not asking people to not talk about it, but what is the system of fraud, or at least welfare, that everyone's benefiting off it, whether it is or isn't fraud? And the whole welfare system is essentially like legalized manipulation and stuff. So it's like, if they're going to pay you to have 20 kids in Lakewood, people are going to do it. If they're going to pay you to open up daycares and not really pay attention, and there's a minimum list of requirements that you have to do, and you do it, people are going to do it. I'm not saying it's right, but what needs to happen, and I don't know how this happens, it's easier to talk about than to do it. The government, whether it's federal or local, needs to write laws that are not easily exploitable, that people can exploit, and make it illegal to, incentivize greatness instead of just sitting milking off the government. Someone said the Amish don't use any money, government money. I mean, the Amish are super based and super productive, but how many people are on welfare? Like, there's a bunch of people on welfare because it's easy. Like, if you leave a job, right? Let's just say you get fired or you quit a job, most states will give you unemployment. So even if you have a lot of money in the bank, even if you make a lot of money, even if you can make money somewhere else, you're facing the options. Do I go work and make, I'm just going to use examples. Do I go work and make $40 an hour at this new job and work for a year? Or do I take the government unemployment for a year and make $30 to $35? I'll make a little less, but not less enough to not think about it, because I could just do whatever you want, not work, and then make 75 to 85% of that from the government. And then you can go get a job. So it's like, that's a small example, but whether it's daycare, whether it's Hasidics in New Jersey, whether it's Black people, white people, I'm not covering for certain groups. I'm just being very honest. Like, people are going to exploit it if the rules are written that way. We don't live in a country where everybody's like the Amish and, like, oh, I'm just going to do it for the love of the game. God bless them. But most of our country at this point is not that, they're not that moral, or at least like dedicated to just living off the land. So when are they going to rewrite the rules? When are they going to incentivize, working? When are they going to incentivize doing the right thing? Because all they do is incentivize the wrong thing. Have 20 kids, run a fake daycare, whatever, make money. Okay. Like, we got to get a little more specific with the rules, or else people exploit them. I remember I met a cop one time from like Beverly Hills, right? Just through a friend, off duty. He wasn't like working. We were just hanging out, and he just happened to be like the friend of a friend or something. And he was telling me about this massive welfare fraud that was going on in Los Angeles. So he explained it to me, and he said, we kept just seeing people like from out of state and just acting really unnaturally, just like balling out on Rodeo Drive. And he's like, basically, he just said like you could instantaneously tell that like the entire town was just like abnormally different within like 3 months than it is. And he's like, we could definitely tell. And they started talking to people, and they slowly figured it out. there was some sort of scheme where you could scam the government of California, get like 10, 20, 30,000, whatever, however much money they were making. And then the people who were doing it from out of state were telling their friends, they were flying in, they were scamming the government of California. And then they were just shopping on Rodeo Drive, because apparently with the 10 to 20 to $30,000 that that they were getting, they just wanted to immediately shop on Rodeo Drive. So it's like they stopped this multi-billion-dollar scheme by just paying attention a little bit. But it's like California made it legal, or maybe it was illegal, but they made it easy to do that. So everyone has to figure out how to close these loopholes and catch people who do fraud quickly, or else it's just going to keep happening. Someone said, this is a funny comment. He said, Diddy reached out to Anomaly and took his watch. Yeah, I had my watch on the other day, and dude, Diddy just snatched it out. I had a nightmare. Diddy snatched my watch, and he ran away. And as he was running away with my watch, there was just baby oil falling out of his pockets. And I was like, I almost caught up to him, but then I slipped on the baby oil and he just took off with my watch. So that's exactly what happened. Good call. I'm glad he saw that. I didn't even notice, but thank God someone's paying attention. Let's see. Oh my gosh, 2 hours. All right, we got under 15 minutes and I'm out. Let's make this the best 15 minutes of our lives. Hopefully not, because then that's sad. But yeah, when it comes to the Lakewood thing, the GOP is going to just act like it never happened, like they're not. And this is why I have to say, not just about the GOP, but about everybody. People don't like people that aren't honest. So like Nick Shirley is like, hey, do it all. And then everyone's like, you're an anti-Semite. So that means to me that Nick seems pretty honest, or at least like has good intentions. And then everyone telling him to shut up probably don't. So it's like if the GOP only cares when Somalian migrants do something, but there's other migrants doing stuff, and they're willing to bring over other migrants for their H-1B visa worker friends, there's no momentum to our movement anymore. We built so much momentum. And this is what I want to explain to the Trump tards. No, I'm just kidding. But the people that are like annoyed that I don't like Trump anymore, we won the last election with the House, the Senate, the presidency. We won the culture. We had the media for a little bit. We had the podcast. Like Trump had the mandate to not just close the border and deport actual illegals, but not people critical of Israel, but in general, he had a mandate to do all this stuff and he didn't do it. And now he's losing everybody because he basically works for his donors. He used us to win the election. He got paid by his donors, and now he just works for them unapologetically, and he lashes out at anybody who is talking about it. So, it's frustrating because yes, Trump did a lot in some extent, but really also a lot of us did a lot. I'm not the number one person, not even top 50 probably, but like a lot of us came together to try to make the media, the podcast world, the culture more honest, more America first, more Christian to some extent. And we won like last year, and now Trump's blowing it all. So it's like now all this massive momentum that we had to right all these wrongs in America, we don't have the coalition anymore. RFK's losing a lot of his MAGA moms because he's, Mr. I have to make excuses for glyphosate because Donald Trump's a fraud and I don't want to get fired by the fraud. He's ruined MAGA. He's ruined MAGA. It's MIGA now, whether it's make Israel great again or make Iran great again. It's like he basically is Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin now. He didn't act that way on the campaign trail, because if he acted like Mark Levin and just posted Mark Levin on the campaign trail all the time, nobody would have voted for him. But he acted a certain way. Now he's losing it all. And it's like, it's just annoying because, I don't know. I feel like we had so much momentum and so much leverage. It was like all flowing in the right direction. And Trump's just like, let me give it to Miriam Ellison. Listen to the way he says Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I had this clip from when I interviewed Marjorie, and I played it by mistake before my live stream, and I started laughing so hard. I was like, dude, he sounds so lame. Wait, listen.
Marjorie Trader Brown.
Marjorie
Trader Brown, I call her.
Marjorie. Oh, Marjorie. How dare you not work for Israel lobby? Marjorie Trader Brown.
Marjorie Trader Brown, I call her, because green turns to brown under.
Marjorie. Whatever, bro. We get it. It's just like he just sounds like so old. He reminds me of like a SpongeBob character, like Squidward or something, like in one of the episodes where like he's just like, getting older or something. Marjorie. His like face is sagging. They're like, look at him in the control room. It's like he doesn't look cool. He literally looks like a pile of like sludge. He's just sitting there. He's like, ugh, ugh. People are like, look how based he looks. He looks terrible. I mean, he looks good for his age, I guess, but he doesn't have that like spirit in his eyes anymore. Like you used to look in his eyes and he had like kind looking eyes. Now his eyes he just looks like a serpent. He's like, Marjorie, I got money from Miriam. Shut up, Marjorie. Why won't you take money from AIPAC, Marjorie? We all do. We get it, Mark Levin. Relax. If it's brown, it's been around, someone said. What? I've never heard that, but let's just pretend he didn't say that. But maybe someone says that. Someone said Trump's staged event when he got shot in the ear looked staged. Here's what I'll say about that. When it happened, every Trump supporter was like, it's totally real. And then every Democrat was like, it's a conspiracy theory. And then every Republican was like, don't say that. That's mean to say. It's like if that happened to Biden, it would literally be the exact opposite. Every Democrat would be like, oh my God, a Republican shot Joe Biden. Every Republican would be like, oh, it looks staged. And then every Democrat would say it's a conspiracy theory. This is why I don't understand how everyone doesn't come to the same conclusion that we come to, because it's like so obvious. It's like, I don't care if you think it was real or staged, but if you're the same retard that's like, you don't say it's a conspiracy theory because I don't like conspiracy theories because I like Trump. It's like you would literally be doing that if you didn't trust him, like if it were a Democrat. So this is the problem. Like, if people can't see that 90% of people in politics literally mean nothing that they say, then what's the point? Like we're all just arguing like cattle in a circle. It's like, it's not a war because it wasn't declared by Congress. It's not like a legal war because it's legally and constitutionally declared by Congress, but that didn't stop. Did they vote on all of the wars that we've waged over the last 20 years? It's like, what does that have to do with it? As far as whether it's a war, it just means if it's legal or constitutional. All right. And yeah, every time there was like an assassination attempt, Trump just said it was Iran. I knew they were setting. I'm glad Trump is alive, and I'm glad they didn't kill Trump, like for obvious reasons. Like I would never want anyone to do that to any president, but Trump was setting the stage since his election, actually, to say if he got killed, it was Iran and we're going to go to war with Iran. At that point, I kind of knew we were cooked. Obviously, I'm like hoping for the best scenario, but I was like, Trump is setting the stage for like, if anyone did that to Trump, then his donors would be like, we got to go to war with Iran. So he was like, oh, Iran keeps trying to kill me. If Iran kills me, we're going to go to war with them. It's like you're pretty much setting yourself up for that to happen because there's a lot of people in your allies that would want to go to war with Iran. So you're basically giving them that option where it's like, if this happens to me, we go to war. You don't think there's a lot of people in your circle that want war that badly? So I knew we were cooked when Trump started saying that over and over and over. And it's one of those things. It's like, okay, some scrawny looking like string bean tried to kill Trump named Thomas Cooks. We know absolutely nothing about the guy. Some weird looking guy who went to Ukraine to recruit Taliban members to Ukraine and had Newsweek interviews tried to kill Trump another time. And I think they said that was Iran. So you're telling me Iran is sending a guy to go to Ukraine to work with Ukraine? Iran is allies with Russia. This guy was anti-Russia. How is an anti-Russia brainwashed American who went to Ukraine working with Iran? Like Trump has been lying about this forever and setting the stage for all this stuff. So I don't know what's going on, but Someone said, what war? What, like, it's like Trump could be like, we're not at war. And they'd be like, we're not at war. And then Trump would be like, we're at war. And then we're not at war. No, Trump's like, no, we are at war. No, we're not, Trump. Yeah, we are. Okay, we are, but it's not a war. It's one of those not war wars. The mental gymnastics are wild. I really can't. I can't. But that's why, I wanted to do this shorter for logistic reasons, but if I don't talk about it, I just sit and read what people are saying and it annoys me. So I'd rather talk about it than like read. Like, it's like people, they want to fight wars for a foreign nation. They just don't want you to talk about it. How dare you say that? How dare I say that our soldiers are basically dying for a foreign nation and Trump's donors, but you don't want to stop more people from dying by admitting that it's happening and pushing back against it? Then more soldiers are going to die. Like, it doesn't make you a good person. Like, if we lose hundreds of people in this war, it doesn't make you a good person to be like, it's not for Israel, says you. And if you would have come to the conclusion of how our government works years ago, and we had an actual majority in this country instead of a bunch of people funded by AIPAC, maybe they wouldn't have died. It's like, you can pay respect to our soldiers. You can love them and appreciate them and be sad. I'm just as sad as every boomer that we're losing soldiers. I'm probably more sad than them because they think they're dying for American interests. I think they're dying for Israeli interests. So I'm even more sad and more disgusted by it, if it's a competition. Someone said, when will America fix the two-sided Fed swap? This is the ultimate question. I don't know. Like, when? When will it? I don't know. When will people figure it out? I thought we figured it out already, really. Like, I thought we were there. And then I realized we weren't when Trump ran against DeSantis, and I was like, holy crap, people are still stupid. And then during the election, obviously, like, it feels better because it's election time, and it's like, oh yeah, we're really figuring it out. We got RFK. And then after the election, like, the entire illusion just went away. And I was hoping, I wouldn't say expecting, I was hoping a lot of people to like be like, oh, okay, I get it now. And there are, but it's not enough yet. It's not enough people yet, but it's getting close. And it's important for people like Matt Walsh to come out and do this, because when Matt Walsh does it, like, there's a lot of Facebook boomers who, if I say the war in Iran isn't adding up and there's not enough proof, they'll be like, shut up, Anomaly, you're a libtard. But if Matt Walsh says it, they'll be like, that Matt Walsh, he's getting the tampons out of the bathroom, we trust him. So it's like, you need more. Same with Charlie. Like, if I say, oh, the media is calling me an anti-Semite because I work for America over Israel, people are like, oh, but you are an anti-Semite. But Charlie Kirk wasn't an anti-Semite. But they were doing it to Charlie as well. So, when Charlie came out and was saying, oh, they're calling me an anti-Semite, it gets through to people more, because then they're like, oh, I know Charlie's pro-Israel. I know he's a good guy, but, he's being called an anti-Semite too. So we need more people and more prominent people. We have Megyn Kelly telling the truth about it. We have Tucker Carlson telling the truth about it. We have Piers Morgan once every 7 days telling the truth about it. We have Matt Walsh telling the truth about it once every 7 months. There's a lot of other people who have less power doing it. Matt Gaetz tells the truth as soon as he gets kicked out of Attorney General. So Marjorie Taylor Greene tells the truth about it. Thomas Massey tells the truth about it. I see the guy like Rob Smith now, who was like, first he was like a gay black veteran for CNN or whatever. Then he was like a gay black veteran for like Zionists or Republicans. And now he's like against the war in Iran too. And he's like, I'm not controlled. I was like, oh, well, okay. Like, I didn't see that coming, but he seems like he's talking about it. I'm trying to think who else in my feed. Obviously, Candace Owens is talking about it and talking about a lot of other stuff. I haven't seen her documentary, but I'm sure she's covering. I highly doubt she's like, yeah, let's go fight a war for Israel. That's definitely not her opinion. Jim Carrey, is he retired? I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Jim Carrey, but I've seen all the things. Someone said Megyn Kelly's telling the truth about Nancy Guthrie. I don't even know what the Nancy Guthrie story is, because it felt like a planted story. I'm not saying nothing's happening, but I kind of have, at this point, I have like it's like if you do something for so long, like a quarterback can like read the defenses, he could feel it. Like I could just feel when a story is like what they want me to care about because it's not like what they say it is. That's how I feel about the Nancy Guthrie story. It's like they're trying to like make it a thing and I don't even know what they're talking about. But not that I purposely don't know what they're talking about. Like it doesn't feel like a story that it feels like a story they want me to really care about and be like Nancy Guthrie. It's like, what are they even talking about? And like, am I right or am I wrong? Let me know. Is my intuition right where it's like this planted story that they're trying to make a thing? Or is it actually a real story that people aren't covering? What do you think? Someone said Jimmy Dore has been giving you shout outs. He reads my tweets all the time. I want to go on Jimmy Dore's show really bad. I like Jimmy Dore. I feel like me, him, and Kurt would have a good conversation. So thank you, Jimmy. He definitely always reads my tweets because my tweets are awesome, and Jimmy seems pretty awesome. So no, jokes aside, but I'm not joking. But anyway, I like Jimmy Dore. I want to talk to him sometime. It'd be fun. Someone said mass distraction for sure. Yeah, like I could just tell without it. Oh, she wrote a book about being kidnapped. Anytime all mainstream media is like Nancy Guthrie at 7:00, this is the big story. I'm like, is it though? I'm sure something happened, but I'm not inspired to care. TMZ was getting involved. Yeah, something's off. I'm trying to think of another story they did like that, but it happens like once every like 5 months where they just like they're making like some massive mystery story, but it didn't organically arise from people who actually cared. It's like a story that they are pushing, Invite him on yours. I could do that too. I would love to interview Jimmy and talk to him. Really just chat with him. I could ask him some questions, but someone said, I like Jimmy, but he's always a day or two behind the news. I don't watch his show that much, but I mean, he covers a lot of things. So I think some days, you know what I think it is with Jimmy, if I could guess, because I have a family member who really likes Jimmy Dore, and I think he does a live stream and then he posts the clips like days later. So I don't think Jimmy's like actually late on the news. I just think he doesn't post the video until like a couple days later. I think Jimmy's like right on the news. That's his format. I think go live and then save the clips and then post the clips throughout the week. Let's see. Guthrie is a red herring type of story, said Rosebud. Yeah, I'm not understanding it / intrigued at all by like that, but maybe that'll change. Someone said that's exactly what he does. Yeah, he's not like slow. His business model is just posting it days after. But he's got the type of audience, it doesn't matter when he posts it. They like people want to hear what he has to say. So someone said, God, you're great, man. Miss this. Busy lately. Haven't been able to listen to a while. Did not disappoint. Thank you. I appreciate it. My theory of my show is if it's as good as we think it is, eventually it'll catch on again. Because, it's like I did a Marjorie interview. The numbers were decent, but then I do clips and they get millions of views. So it's like people aren't tuning into my show to the hundreds of thousands like they were at one point, but they are at the same time through clips, I don't care enough. Like I don't care that much about it, but I know some people are like, oh, you should have way more views. I guess, like I appreciate it, but I feel like I'm getting views in other places and just not on my YouTube videos as much, like my mainstream ones. But if it's as good as we think it is and I stay consistent, then eventually people will listen to it more. Because they're crazy long. Well, that's part of it too. If I cared really badly about getting more views, I would do it shorter. But I honestly like the longer lives. I think it's fun. I have a good time. I don't care if it has 6,000 views or 60,000 views. Like it doesn't really mean anything to me. It would be more money, but I don't need it that bad. Maybe if I needed it really badly, I would start chopping clips up more. But I have a different business model where I make less money streaming than I do if I just sat on my phone posting stuff. So it's like I lose money when I'm on stream, but I'm okay with it. I like it. So this is like healthy and fun for me, and it's good for people who listen. And then when the time's right, we'll do a short live stream, video, and people will watch. But if I do a Marjorie Taylor Greene interview and it gets like 50,000 views, whatever, 100,000 views among all platforms, but then I chop it into clips and the clips get 5 million views, like, do I really have to care? Oh, I wish my long video had more views. Other people care more than I do. It's just like that video is getting viewed. It's just I'm not getting fully paid maybe for all the views in some sense, because like other accounts are posting that Marjorie interview and getting millions of views. I posted it on Instagram, got like 700,000 views and didn't get any money for it. I posted it on Facebook and got 500,000 views. Just on my own pages, it has 1.2 million views in an Instagram reel. I'm fine with that. Like if the people want to watch the original one on YouTube and it gets 500,000 views, that's cool. But if it gets 15,000 or 20,000, that's also fine. I don't know. I get it, but yeah, I'm sure there's things I could do to get these videos to get more views, but I don't need more views right now in this format. If we got 500 people who get it, but then other people like to watch the short videos, like by the millions, that's cool. Because I like these. I actually like, I don't enjoy filming and editing videos. I enjoy filming, but then I don't like editing that much. And I don't, so it's like, it is what it is. Thank you, Serena. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you always supporting and showing love. I think that's me in your profile picture. So appreciate you so much. Thank you for your years of support. I'm very grateful. And I know I never mean to like personally attack everyone. Like if I say like Trumpy boomers, it's not like every boomer, and it's certainly not every Trump voter. I voted for Trump, but I'm just speaking generally. So I appreciate anybody that supports me of any kind. Like I'm not trying to, I don't know. Sometimes you have to like say labels in order to get your point across. I think, for example, like if you were trying to like describe like the New York Giants, it's like you have to use descriptors. You're like, it's these, it's that. It's like if there's no descriptors, you're just like, who are you talking about? You're like, those guys on the field. Like which guys? The ones that play the sport. Which sport? I don't want to say, like, I don't feel comfortable saying what color their shirt is. It's like, yeah, sometimes you just got to use words. We need a sanity anchor. How can we do that? We got to get a sanity boat because the anchor comes off a boat. So all right, I really don't want to make this more than 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'm having a good time, but I'm kind of tired. After yesterday, I live streamed too much. But like I said, here's another thing too. It's like, are these live streams too long? Yes, for my profession or whatever. But in other streamers, my videos are short. Not that I necessarily want to go this live all the time, but let's just say we really like the long live streams. There's people that do 8-hour live streams every day, like Clavicular and stuff. I don't want to go out in the streets and do it, but maybe I just start streaming on Kick and stuff. We talked about this the other day. It's like, there's places where 10 minutes is too long. There's places where 15 minutes is too long. There's places where 4 hours is too long. And there's places where 4 minutes is too long. It just depends where you post it. So, if we really like the long live streams, people can just pop in and pop out. Like nobody looks at a Clavicular live stream and they're like, oh, I need to watch all 9 hours of it. You just kind of pop in and out. And whenever you pop in and out of the live stream, you're going to be entertained with something that's live. It's happening now. You can interact. You can super chat to them and talk and be part of the stream. So maybe we just do that because, I do like just talking. Like when I've done videos for years, even when I was getting all the views on like these type of videos, it's a lot of labor. And I'm not trying to be lazy, but it's like I was working at a pace that's not sustainable for the rest of my life. But I did it because I had to do it and it made sense. But, I like just chilling and being myself. When I have like an hour live report to do, it's not that I'm not being myself, but I'm working. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have to I have to show you 15 different things and show, it gets exhausting. So it's fun to just kick it sometimes. And I think I'm funny. So I get to actually be funny when I'm not like, doing full blown live reports. Someone said Marjorie Taylor Greene retired with full government benefits. Yeah, but like she said, everyone in Congress will retire with full benefits. And, whether you have $50 million or $5 million or $1 million or no money, like if you're not going to sell out to lobbyists and tell the truth, I don't care. Like if Nancy Pelosi had $100 million, but she stood up to the lobbyists and she didn't work for a foreign nation and she worked towards American interests and she was America first, I don't care. If Elon Musk is going to do better work than the government, I don't care if he's the richest person in the world. So yes, if you're going to take money from people and then do what they say against American interests, you should call it out every time. But, every government person gets government benefits if they're there long enough to some extent. It doesn't, mailmen get government benefits as well. It doesn't mean they're bad. So I think as long as people are accurate with it in the sense of like, oh yeah, I don't like people who sell out. Facts. I don't like people who enrich themselves with insider trading and scam everybody. Understandable. But like we're going to get mad at Marjorie Taylor Greene, who never took money from AIPAC because she got a retirement thing. I don't know. Someone said she's a snake. You don't have to trust anybody, but I guess it's just like, I don't know. I appreciate people who are actually being honest about stuff. So you don't have to trust her and I don't have to trust her. So, there does like, it is what it is. I'm not going to like sit and be a PR team for another person, but feel how you want to feel. For example, like James Fishback, I've talked about him. I find his campaign fascinating, but I don't trust the guy at all. And I don't dislike him. I don't hate him. I don't trust him, but I like what he's doing. And I think it's interesting. And I think it's in some ways revolutionary because he's acting like a streamer that doesn't give a shit, but he's like running for office and he's 31. So, there's a way to like what someone's doing, but not trust anyone or her or Marjorie. And that's fine. You don't have to even like her. It's like, it doesn't matter to me, but everyone's entitled to their own kind of perception of it. I just like she was in government and she spoke against the pharmaceutical industry. She spoke against lockdown. She was against vaccine. Like I'm not going to say every policy because there's been times I've disagreed with Marjorie, but I would say like 8 out of 10 times she was always siding with the American priority over the donor class. So like, how am I going to hate on Marjorie or not like her for that? I do like her. So, but if people don't, I get it. This is true. Someone said Trump pardoned the president of Honduras who was convicted by an American jury of drug trafficking, pardoned by Trump. That is true. I mean, am I still cool with Roseanne Barr? Someone said. I think so. I mean, we haven't talked in a while, but I'm sure we have very different views of what's going on in the world. But I've talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago. I'm not ever going to like end a friendship or be rude or disrespectful to anybody over a foreign or a domestic policy disagreement. So as far as I know, we're cool. And they've been respectful to me. I've been respectful to them. I'm sure we see things very differently now, but for me, it is what it is. Like she was really cool to me for a long, long time, since like 2018 in a lot of different ways. So I appreciate it. And I think I've been cool to her. So, I don't think she pretends to agree with my views and I don't pretend to agree with hers, but I'm cool with it as long as they are. She wouldn't be the first person that I don't see eye to eye with on a topic. I don't feel any reason to make it personal. And I would say, unfortunately, in this industry, a lot of people, they constantly attack each other. I'm not going to attack her personally, and she hasn't done it to me, so I appreciate it. Maybe when all the war stuff cools down, we'll be on the same page again. Who knows? Is the moon landing happening right now? Probably not. Did it ever happen? I don't know. But someone said, no hate. Roseanne loves her people. She even admits that their narratives drove her insane. I've never heard her say that, but she definitely puts on for her people. Someone said, you're supposed to hate her and Massey because Trumpstein told us to. I don't know why her and Massey are like so different ideologically, but I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not reading that comment. Someone said Alex Stein did not bang Marjorie. Okay, I just read it. Who? What? Why would you type that to me? Why? I don't know. You're gonna get me in trouble just reading you guys' comments. Let's see. I said I wasn't gonna read it, but then I was like, all right, she sounds cool with you. Well, I think we're cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. For me, I don't get in like personal beefs at all. Like never, because why would I? The most annoyed people have gotten at me have been people I like don't even really know. You know, like anybody that I actually have met and actually been cool with in person. I've never had like a public falling out with somebody I've met. Like do you notice that like everybody does that in politics? They're like best friends, they're in somebody's wedding, then they hate them, then they worked with them, now they're beefing with them. I'm a grown man. I don't want to beef with someone on the internet that I know. Like it doesn't, it's not, this is not TMZ. It's not the Kardashian show. I don't see any value to it. I just want to speak the truth and do my job. I don't want to talk about like my personal relationships with people. That's weird. But with that being said, the most like beefiest beefs I've ever not even gotten into, it's always been the other person. It's never been anybody I really liked or knew that well. It's been like somebody that I like barely knew that liked me more than I liked them and then just spiraled. Like there's never been like oh, I've been friends with that person for 7 years and then they like that doesn't happen to me. So it's not going to happen with Roseanne. I like Roseanne. I like her son. They're cool with me, and I'm sure if we ever kick it again, we'll be able to talk about it, you know? And to be fair too, I think like, you know, I think it's easy to like lose touch with the other side of a debate when you never talk, like, you know, like when you're constantly just getting so involved in like internet drama with like, you know, if you don't like Tucker or you don't like Marjorie or you don't like what the Zionist people are doing, I think like the more you consume digital media, it's just easy to like lose, not, I won't even say lose touch, but just like, you know, not like maybe if you're sitting next to someone, you have a more rational conversation than you would if you weren't. But to me, like I notice who's acting that way. Like for example, it's not Roseanne, by the way. They've always been cool to me. Her son's been cool to me. But like I know somebody else that I've never like met in person, but I've always been friendly with, and they're like spiraling to the extent of like saying like if you like Tucker Carlson, I hate you. And it's like, I don't know. Like what how do you even be friends with that person? Because it's like, I like Tucker Carlson. If you like Mark Levin, I don't hate you. I don't know. I don't like Mark Levin, but someone said Roseanne speaks of you in a good light. We have a great relationship. Like me and Roseanne have hung out like so many times. She's been so amazing to me. You know, I think she really likes me. I really like her. So I would never unprovoked or even probably provoked. I would never say anything bad about her because she's just been as a person, she's been cool. Like we've had some epic moments, and it's just like a cool situation that's happened in my life, and I value and appreciate her as a person. But yeah, and she's never said anything to me. But I'm just saying, someone else I know that's similar politics, they're like basically saying I hate everyone who like likes Tucker. I don't know. It's a lot of people are acting that way, and it becomes like a problem, and it's sad because it's like, yeah, I don't like Ben Shapiro, right? I don't like Ben Shapiro at all. If I have friends and like I know people who like Ben Shapiro. Why would I hate somebody for liking Ben Shapiro? Like I don't understand it. But if someone acts that way, then you just kind of know, like, I guess I can't be friends with that person because they hate me. It's the same as like a liberal. Like if they're like, you voted Republican, I hate you. Okay. So like, okay, I guess you can't be friends with me. That's, there's nothing you could do if someone acts that way. But if someone doesn't act that way, then I'm not going to act that way to them. I don't believe that. I don't care and I don't think everybody likes certain things for nefarious reasons. I just want to be honest about what's going on. I want to be able to speak the truth. I don't do it in a rude way. I don't do it in a hateful way. I don't do it in an ignorant way. So I want to just be able to say what's going on and do my job. That's all I want. I don't need everyone to agree with me. Someone said, I hate that you don't hate Ben Shapiro. I don't like Ben Shapiro, but I think words are magic in a way, like just the whole, like, they say, like, I remember there's this clip of, I think it's Bruce Lee. Maybe, yeah, Bruce Lee. And he says, don't talk badly about yourself. Spelling, like spelling is a spell. You don't want to talk badly about yourself because your body and your mind doesn't know the difference. Right. So it's like, I believe those things. I try to be very careful about what I say. Once again, like I said, I'm not perfect. Sometimes I curse and stuff. But I don't, I don't like a lot of things, but I try to not hate, because to me, and hate's just a word, so it doesn't matter, but hate feels like emotional. It feels like very, like, I hate you. I'm just like, I don't like Ben Shapiro at all. I find him obnoxious, sneaky, completely not genuine, and extremely subversive. But why can't I just not like him? Why do I have to, like, hate him? Well, I don't hate any country. I don't hate any group of people. I don't hate anybody. There's just things I don't like. That's how I choose to speak and choose to use words. I don't have enemies. I'm not if anyone's mad at me, I'm not mad at them. I don't have that energy in my life to give towards that, because then that will negatively affect me. So I don't see the value of it. I like to just move on. But if I did a 20-minute video about why I didn't like Ben Shapiro, I think it's more authentic and effective if I just lay the case for why I don't like him. If I hate him, then it's like, I hate you. I don't even hate Tim Pool. I just think he may or may not live under a bridge and be a beanie gremlin and throw beanies at people when they try to cross the bridge like a troll. I don't hate him for it, but someone's got to live under a bridge, and he might be the guy. Even though his establishment did me dirty when I was supposed to go on a show, I don't hate Tim Pool. I don't like Tim Pool. I think it's funny to joke about him, but that's really the extent of it. I think he's a bridge goblin, and you have to understand that if he wasn't doing it, then the bridge, someone has to look over the bridge. And then I move on with my life, and I don't think about Tim Pool until I make a joke about it. I don't. When you hate, you just sit on it, and I think that's an issue. Is like people hate so much that they become blinded by their emotion, and then they're not willing to consider. Someone said Tim Pool's show changed when he got rid of a bunch of people and replaced them with Zionists. His show's been bad for a while, but it's probably even worse now. I'm not going to speculate on what I think's happening or why, but I have never really liked him or trusted him. And I liked him a lot less after my experience with his business. But, I think personally, I don't find his show interesting. I don't find it entertaining. I don't find it enjoyable. I don't think he's funny. And I don't think any of the characters he has on his show are interesting or impressive. I think I'm smarter, funnier, more pleasant than all of them. And I do think highly of myself, but to me, that's not even a high bar. Honestly, like, if I could rate them, like if we were a video game, it's like intelligence 3, likability 1, like arrogance 10. They're obnoxious, They're rude, they're annoying, they're obnoxious. They, like, the way they talk to their guests, they're condescending. Like, it's like The View if they were uglier and just as stupid, but right wing. I don't know. It's it's just such a dumb show to me. I don't know. Like, I don't agree with Jimmy Dore on anything, but, like, dude, if you ask me, like, yo, do you want to watch Jimmy Dore for 30 minutes or Tim Pool for 30 minutes? Jimmy Dore, for sure. Like Tucker Carlson or Tim Pool. Tucker Carlson. Megyn Kelly or Piers Morgan. Like, I'm choosing everyone over Tim Pool, even people I don't watch, because I just think his show is so dumb. I don't know. Like, literally, this is my like interpretation of the Tim Pool show. How do I do a Tim Pool? Let me think about how he talks. Let me listen to it real quick, because I'm gonna blow this impression if I don't listen to it, like a video of Tim Pool. Let's hear it. Like, Tim Pool. Let's hear what he sounds like. Hold on one second. I gotta listen. Oh, he's got like other people doing the show for him. Hold on. I don't know why he's so funny to me. I don't know if you can even hear this, but I'm gonna try to play it. I really don't know how to do an impression of him. Someone said I enjoy Phil, Libby, and Mary. I don't. I think I like Mary though. I think no offense to the others, but like Mary seems like the best out of those bunch. The rest of them, no offense, but I don't know. It's like World War III. We are going to talk about China and Russia. Hey Tim, I'm your guest. Can we talk about the Israel lobby? Oh my gosh, that's anti-Semitic. Let's see what Phil has to say. Oh, go, I'm Phil. It's just like stupid frat. It's like if frat bros were like low IQ, sneaky Republicans who were just like really annoying and condescending and like talk down to you, even though they're way dumber than you. That's how they all feel like to me. Like they just go in a circle like sniffing their own farts and I'm like, this smells like shit in here, and they're like, that's not what I think. I'm Phil. It's like, all right, bro. Oh, like the whole vibe of it is like they're just constantly like interrupting to like control the narrative, but they never say anything smart. Like every one of Phil and Tim's opinions, it's like what I thought in 2017 when I was like 27 years old and not as smart as I am now. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no evolution in their show. It's all like basic regurgitated Fox News Ben Shapiro talking points with a slight twist to make it seem like it's more America first, but it's not really. Like there's just nothing intelligent about it. It's like listening to like Trevor Noah do stand up, like he's no Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's smart. Bill Burr can be funny and smart and sometimes not smart. Tim is not smart. Tim is equivalent to like Trevor Noah talking about geopolitics. Like, it's just like very simplistic and arrogant. And the only thing worse than somebody who's dumber than you is someone that's dumber than you that wants to like yell at you. It's like you're at a party and you're like, no, 1 + 1 is definitely 2. And they're like, hey, 1 + 1 is 7. Trust me, I'm Phil. And Tim's like, yeah, that's definitely 7. I mean, come on. I mean, you don't want to be an anti-Semite. And then like Libby's like, yeah, come on. And what the hell? And it's like, what bridge are we under? Why are we under this bridge? Why is the show being filmed under a troll bridge? Wait, are you guys all bridge gremlins? Are you just gatekeeping this bridge to make sure that no America first is getting over? That's how it feels like to me. Someone said no lies detected. It's a very good analysis of their show. You shall not pass. You shall not pass. You shall not collect 100 shekels. Oh, we were playing Monopoly, Israel Lobby Edition. I didn't even realize. Someone said wearing a beanie when it's 100. Wearing a beanie when it's 105 outside, completely normal. You're like, bro, we're in Arizona. What are you doing? He's like, oh. I'm like, dude, you could take the beanie off for a second, just to get some fresh air in there. And he's just like pouring sweat. Oh no. This is how I want to dress. This is choice. My beanie's nicer. Well, yeah, they're made in America. Dreamwear.com. Get yourself a Dreamwear.com beanie. Oh wait, over here. Sorry, there. Dreamwear.com beanie, made in America. We have lots of them. Trevor Noah might be cool, someone said, but I hated how he pushed on me and he isn't funny. I mean, he had a moment, but I just think he's just like annoying. I don't know. I don't like Trevor Noah, but it's whatever. Someone said he has a Star of David tattoo. Who? I don't know who you're talking about or if you're joking or not. And jokes are hate speech, so I'm going to ignore your comment. Bill Burr is right about Eagles fans. I never heard him that, but I like Bill Burr. He's definitely like kind of cringe now, but he's really funny. I don't know what's going on with him. And one thing I find weird about, not weird, but oddly transparent about like comedians, when they say something that's like messed up, but they're not lying, and you're like, what? For example, Bill Burr has a stand-up where he's in Denver and he's talking about like him and his wife, And he's like, yeah, you're not married unless you think every 2 weeks that you wish you'd rather be divorced and alone. And everyone's laughing. And I'm like, he's not joking. Like, that means he's so unhappy in his marriage, or they beef so much that he wants to divorce every 2 weeks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when they say stuff like that, like, I'm like, it's like a therapy session, just like a podcast is. But is that normal? Is like, I don't know. Married people tell me, like, do you want to divorce your spouse every 2 weeks? I would hope not. That scares me. I don't. I want to be married and enjoy it. Am I stupid? Am I stupid to think that I'll find somebody, get married, and not want to divorce them every month or something? But that was like his joke, and I was like, that's not good. Isn't his wife black? Somebody said, yes. Your name is Corn Pops. You should know. Corn Pop is black too. You should know your own, bro. But yeah, his wife is black. And he, Bill Burr, is white. Any questions? No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know. You made it really awkward for me, so I was trying to be funny about it. Someone said no man wants to be married. I mean, I don't think that's true, but I don't know. That can't be true. That's just you saying that. Someone said, have we talked about Jay Dyer making Beanie Boy Tim Pool look dumb? It was a great debate. I haven't seen that, but from what I've heard, Jay is a smart guy. Like, people seem to like him. I don't know him that well, but if he's smart and honest and Tim's not, then yeah, it's pretty easy to make Tim look dumb. So if that happened, congrats. Like, Tim's easy to make look dumb. You just have to go in and be confident and smart and not let him steamroll you. Trust me, it would have been cinema if I went to go talk to Tim Pool. I really wish I did. I want to just play my clip of me with Vivek again. And I had to suffer. Not really, it wasn't that bad, but I had to suffer quite the media smear just because I did this to like Vivek. I think, like, the American Sneak Association for some reason was offended, even though it has nothing to do with Vivek, I don't think. But they got so mad at me when I did this interview, and I think it's because I just like broke the matrix and just didn't like back down. Someone said all married men live in fear. Dude, somebody tell me that they have a good marriage. Okay, there we go. Okay. Someone said, I'm married. It's amazing. My life would be in such disarray without her, and I love her to be there for her too. Thank you, bro. I can't take all these doomers and gloomers because other people are like just dooming out here. So yes, good marriage. Thank you. But imagine this, but with Tim Pool. And this, I would do this. I'm not just sitting here and I would go on Tim Pool and be like, oh, I'm not really who I said I was. I would bring the fire to Tim's little beanie bunker. But
those are areas where I was on the bleeding edge. I'll give credit to people like you who are ahead on spotting the risks of the COVID policies on vaccines in particular. Yeah, we just got to be right to move it forward, though.
I didn't even finish college. I mean, I'm not stupid. I dropped out to pursue my career. But in general, I believe it was a third grade math equation, a lot of this stuff. So why do you think I was able to figure it out, but not you, not Trump? I believe it was because at the time you were working in the biotech pharmaceutical industry. So that's what you were doing. You were focused on sucking up money, advancing your company. You weren't really concerned with what we were dealing with or the truth about it. Because if I can do it with a calculator, I think you could have done it or Trump could have done it. But Trump hired Alex Azar, a pharmacy executive lobbyist. Trump took $1 million from Pfizer. Trump had meetings with Bill Gates in 2018 where Bill Gates told him about modernizing flu vaccines. And in 2019, before the pandemic, Trump passed an executive order for that. So I don't think that I'm so smart that I just had the foresight. I think that I actually care. And Trump was being a politician that I believe sold out to Big Pharma. And I think you were working with Big Pharma. So I don't think I had insight. I just think you care now because you're running for president.
Watch the interview in full if you'd like. YouTube link in my bio. I'm grateful he came on my platform and was willing to chat.
Imagine that with Tim Pool. You already know I would cook. Yeah, I don't know. I forget what I was going to say. Oh, at the time too, when I did that with Vivek, nobody saw through him. Literally, like, nobody. Everyone was like, he's so based. That just shows you how dumb most Republican influencers are. He's a pharmaceutical billionaire. People are just so easy to trick. You just like give them a compliment and they're like, wow, I guess I do like big pharma billionaires. You're just like me. You're MAGA. It's like because he can suck off Trump publicly, like in interviews, now he's MAGA because he's a big pharma billionaire, even though Trump sold vaccines. Like, why does him sucking off the MAGA movement means he's MAGA? Like, I saw through it immediately, literally immediately. And everyone's like, you're wrong. You're black-pilled. You're a doomer. It's like, is everyone just stupid? I don't mind because it makes my legacy that much better, you know? It's like, I guess I have to lead the charge on certain things because nobody could see it. But someone said it was a great interview. I think so too. I had to squeeze like 2 hours into 30 minutes because he was trying to leave after like 10 minutes. And I was like, people were like, you were being rude to him. I had to go. You don't understand. If I stopped for a single second, he would have ran because it was a 30-minute interview and he came a couple minutes late. And by the time he answered the first question, he purposely talked in a circle for 7 minutes to like kill as much time as possible. So people don't even realize how masterful that interview was because like I kept him there for like 40 minutes. But if I didn't, like, it literally would have been like a 2-question interview and he would have just left. Like I had to do that. It was either that or just let the interview be the dumbest, worst interview of all time, where he just talks in a circle for 15 minutes and then it's like, all right, see you guys. Sorry about that. So it was pretty fire. Someone said Vivek gives me James Fishback from Florida vibes. Yeah, I mean, they have like similar mannerisms and stuff. Like I said, I like James. I just, time will tell like what he's doing or why. Like I find him hilarious. Honestly, I kind of view James, and this is no disrespect because like I want him to win the election. I kind of view him like like he reminds me of like Clavicular, where it's like I don't agree. Like Clavicular, I don't agree with everything he's saying, but he's funny to me. James Fishback's like a character like that. Like I don't know. It feels very like not real, but he's being really real and really honest, and maybe that's just, I don't know, but it's yeah, so it's definitely similar, but he's being way cooler than Vivek, so it's easier to be like, I like this guy. He's he's crushing way harder than Vivek is. So we'll see, time will tell, but I'm rooting for James to win the election. As far as like who he's going to be in 3 years or how and if he's going to change, I would not be shocked if like there was, but that's just coming from like his act and stuff, or like how he acts. But we shall see. APAC Shakur is really funny. Someone said he's another clown, just give up. Well, I don't have to give up because I'm not like that into it. I see clips of James and I think he's hilarious, but I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not pouring I'll let you know when there's somebody that I like and trust enough that I'm willing to like pour political capital into, or at least like think is cool. I like Thomas Massie. I'm not pouring my whole life into him, but I get good vibes from Thomas Massie. I think he's legit. He's a good Congress member. He's not just talking about it. He's been there for 8 years explaining stuff. So I like Thomas Massie. That's he's my favorite. Someone said Vivek was way worse. We'll vote for Fish. Oh, 100%. Regardless of, I don't know what Fishback's intentions are or who he's going to be in 3 years, but he's definitely saying a lot of the right things and he's pushing the Overton window in a way that Vivek wasn't. See, Fishback, what I will say about Fishback is he's moving the Overton window of politics. So whether whoever he is, he's changing the game a little bit and normalizing like something that needs to be normalized. Vivek was not doing any of that. Vivek was just grifting off of MAGA. Like, it's not like Vivek came into politics and you're like, oh, he's calling people APAC Shakur and, you know what I'm saying, doesn't care and doesn't apologize and stuff, talking about the Israel lobby. Vivek was just literally just being like, I'm MAGA, Trump. I'm just like Trump. Trump's cool. But, like he was just like, that's what really annoyed me even more about Vivek was like, he's a pharmaceutical billionaire who's going to pop up in MAGA in 2022 after writing a book saying Trump's a sore loser and convince MAGA that he's just one of them as a pharmaceutical billionaire, but he's not doing anything normal or different. He's doing all the same things that we did in 2018 with like one new thing that we're talking about, but none of it's original. None of it sounded, to James Fishback's credit, although I don't necessarily trust him, or know where he'll go. He's being funny. He's being creative in some ways, and he's definitely pushing the boundaries in a way that Vivek never did. So like if I lived in Florida, I would absolutely vote for James Fishback. Do I trust him? No. Do I trust Byron Donalds? Absolutely not. Do I like Byron Donalds? No. Do I like James? For the most part, I think he's funny. So it's like, if it were Byron over Fishback, I'd vote for Fishback. If it were Casey Push over Vivek, I'm voting for Casey. These are the two most interesting elections in America because they're both changing the game and they're bringing like Zoomer younger culture into politics, which is good. Like the boomer, like Byron Donalds is like boomer Byron. Vivek was impressing the boomers. Fishback and Push, but more Fishback. They're bringing streamer, Zoomer, young energy to politics, and they're changing what it is to be a politician. Like Trump started doing that, and he was like, "Oh, I'm different," but he's really not. So now it's time for Zoomer culture to win. Now it's time for the 20-year-olds who don't give a crap. I posted a clip of Aiden Ross, who's a streamer, multimillionaire, well-connected. He's a Jewish in his 20s, right? Just giving you context for a reason. I'm not just randomly saying that. But he was complaining about the Israel lobby, and he was like, listen, Trump's a total puppet. He rolled over for Israel. He's BB's BITCH or whatever. And I posted it, and I was like, yo, everybody under 40 knows this stuff. Like under 30, all the kids know this stuff. Like they're not like boomers. They know that Israel controls America, and all the most famous streamers, they talk about it. They're not afraid to talk about it. And I posted it and someone goes, "Oh, you just hate these people." And I was like, Aiden Ross is Jewish. He is Jewish. He doesn't hate Jewish people. He's Jewish and he's not ashamed of it and he's not hiding it, but that's what makes Aiden Ross so authentic is like, if he was being sneaky about it, then it would be sneaky, but he's not. He's like, I'm Jewish. I'm not ashamed of who I am. But he's also seems to be American. And he's like, yeah, no, Israel definitely controls Trump. Like that's mainstream conversation among 20-year-olds. But among 60-year-olds, that's anti-Semitism. So James Fishback, Aiden Ross, the clavicular type, Sneeko, you know what I'm saying? This generation of people, they're operating in a world that's just foreign to most 30, 40, and 50-year-olds. It's very popular among teens and 20-year-olds. And it's basically going back to what we did when we were younger, not caring. We didn't say, oh, I don't want to offend somebody when I was like 15 years old. We were fine offending people because we didn't do it in a malicious way. So even though my bus was filled with a Jewish kid, an Indian kid, a kid who had a disability, like I'm not even joking. It's like we might as well have been a television show. We had one of everybody. We all just were respectful to each other, but didn't people told racial jokes, people told funny jokes, people played into their own stuff. And we knew what to joke about and what not to joke about, but there was no political correctness. There was just funny and then respect. Nowadays people are fake respectful or they're not respectful, but they're politically correct, which is just being fake. Like you don't say something disrespectful to somebody, but at the same time, you can't not talk about anything. So like calling Byron Donalds Apac Shakur is hilarious. It's not racist. It's funny. And it's true because he's a sellout. So, it's like, this is the streamer culture. They're not afraid to say this stuff. So James Fishback is definitely like the first politician leaning harder into that than anyone I've ever seen. And it's a good thing. So who he is, who he will be, how he'll lead, I'm more interested in like the changing of the Overton window on that. But yeah, we'll see. I feel like I'm pretty good at discernment. Obviously, like time will tell all. So time is the ultimate discernment visualizer. It's like, time wins. But besides that, I feel like with James, yeah, it's like to me, it feels like, and I'm not trying to overanalyze, but it feels like I don't trust his intentions. I don't trust him, but I like what he's doing. And I think it's useful right now. But, we will see where he is in a year or two. And we will see if this becomes, who he is and what he wants. And if he's super authentic, like we will see over time. But I do think he did a good job on Tucker Carlson. I do think he's interesting. And I hope he is super authentic. And I hope he is a good force in politics, but that's just the read I get. I don't know. We'll see. Someone said only Fishback can defeat Zionists. I don't think he's the only one who can, but just think about the Overton window shift of Florida is like one of the most Jewish places in the country, by the way. Like, it's like very Jewish there. But anyway, it's like he's running and he's just like running around like la 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 la, like, like he like just doesn't give a shit. I don't know. It's definitely interesting, and I think when a lot of censorship is self-censorship in the sense of like, I don't know about that, but once it becomes normalized, then everybody can just be free to just be honest, and then we could figure out who we like and dislike. So I think he's knocking down a barrier, or at least riding the wave of that, where now politicians, if someone can win or almost win an election doing that, then politicians are going to do that. Like, politicians don't want to go on podcasts, but then when Trump goes on a podcast and wins an election, now they have to go on podcasts. So we can shift the culture and make them like more honest. I think my prediction for the next 5 or 10 years, and why I think they're doing this war now, I think AIPAC was always a way to win an election. Soon it's going to be a way to lose an election. Working for Israel was a way to basically get to the top of the pyramid in American business, finance, media, and politics. And soon it's going to be a way to not be popular. So the tides are turning with the youth. And I think James Fishback is just like the first one to test the waters of it. And eventually in 5 years or so, it's like, oh, I take money from AIPAC. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm not voting for you. I will, and this is I will never vote for a candidate who takes money from AIPAC. I will never vote again for a candidate who takes money from the Israel lobby. And I will never take money from, I'll never vote for a politician who prioritizes any foreign nation over America. I'm not voting for a politician who takes money from Big Pharma anymore. I'm over all of that stuff. So if the Republicans, if they want to take that money and lose and cry and blame us, I don't care anymore. Do it. Stop selling out America. And if they can't do that, then the Democrats are going to win. And if the Republicans want to win again, work for America, not Israeli donors. Work for America, not Big Pharma. Work for America, not your big pesticide buddies. Work for America, not Howard Lutnick. Work for America, not Jeffrey Epstein's network. If Republicans don't want to do that, which they don't, and Democrats don't want to do it either, then who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, the GOP has 5 to 10 years to get their shit together. Trump has completely ruined it. He's destroying the political careers of all of these people. And the only people that like Marco Rubio and Donald Trump and stuff, it's mostly over 60. If you have an election of over 60, Trump wins in a landslide. If you have an election tomorrow of people under 30, the candidate who's the least sold out to Israel is going to win. So left wing and right wing, it's becoming a priority to everyone, because everyone is starting to figure out that that's a priority for politicians over us. And that's not a bad thing. It's like, even brainwashed 25-year-olds have been able to figure out that Israel's lobby is manipulating America. People over 60 can't seem to figure it out. On average, not everybody, but and so it's like there's pros and cons to every generation, but that is one thing that the youth is doing right, that the older generation is not doing on average. And someone said, I'm beyond you, Anomaly. It's all pointless, mate. You've been here for like an hour though. So if you're beyond me, like when I go on my phone and watch a video, I'm like, watch, scroll, swipe. I'm not like, I'm going to watch your live stream for an hour and a half and say I'm beyond you, but just sit here. Okay. I don't know. Like why? Okay. What does that do? Someone said Howard Nutlick, Foamy the Squirrel 2028. Is Foamy the Squirrel a reference I'm supposed to understand? Someone said the secret to a good marriage is a strong prenup. Peanut. You're saying, oh, rest in peace, Peanut, the squirrel that was killed by the government. All right, I think it's time to leave. We've lasted way too long, but it is what it is. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. And at times like this, I'd just rather talk about it with people. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. I'd rather talk about it than read stuff online, because it's easier to portray what you're saying through voice. And for other people, I think it's nice to listen to. But yeah. On X, I think a lot of people are waking up, but in my Facebook comments, it's very weird because in my Facebook comments, I'm trying to explain this. I don't want to be rude. I really don't. I know I say that a lot, but I'm not trying to be a dick, and I want to be accurate without like offending boomers or whatever, but because a lot of boomers are cool. But it feels like on Facebook, I could post one thing and like 95% of people will agree with what I'm saying. And then I could post the same thing in a different way, and then people get pissed off. So I see why the Facebook generation is easier to trick, because it's like, it's not about the substance of what you're saying. It's about how you say it to them. It's kind of like talking to like a baby. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, don't yell it. Like, say it this way. Say it this way. Like, or talking to like a girl, like, say it this way. And I get it. That's part of human nature. It's not, sometimes like saying it in a certain way matters. But as an adult, you're supposed to care about the contents, not like getting tricked. So it's like, if I post Matt Walsh saying what I'm saying, every boomer agrees. If I post me saying it, they freak out. If I post Trump saying something, they agree with it. If I post Lindsey Graham saying the same thing, they get mad at it. It's like, I'm trying to be nice about it, but people are like, it's almost like you're talking like, I literally get why the elites think that they're cattle, because it's kind of like an animal. Like, you throw a ball and they like run that way, and then you throw a stick and they run that way. Like, that's kind of how the Facebook conservatives act. And I feel like Instagram conservatives, Twitter conservatives, YouTube conservatives they're so far above Facebook conservatives and critical thinking skills. Like, it's just kind of crazy to me. And I use every platform, and it's like Instagram, 95% of people are awake on these topics. Twitter, 95% of people are awake on these topics. Facebook, it's like 50-50, but it's not even a consistent 50-50. Like, this is what I believe. And regardless of you, Matt Walsh, Lindsey Graham, I believe something. It's not like that on Facebook at all. It's like, I'll say something and they'll agree. I'll say it again, they'll disagree 5 hours later. Like, I literally feel like I'm talking to animals, and I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, go chase the tennis ball. Go chase the tennis ball. Here's a laser pointer. Here's a Trumpy Wumpy treat. And they're like that. It's that easy to trick these people. It's crazy. No wonder why politicians have tricked them in loops for years. They're like shockingly easy to deceive in the most simplistic ways. It's like animalistic behavior. So, like all day is like a game of like, what can I give to these people to make them happy, but try to give them the truth. But this, like tricking them into it, like in the way of like, oh, give them a broccoli, but put cheese on it so it tastes good. It's like that's what you have to do to these people. But it's like, it's only them. Like, Twitter conservatives do not think that way. Instagram conservatives do not think that way. TikTok, they had to buy and sell the platform in order to stop people from talking about the truth. And then you get to like the Facebook Republican crowd, and I'm like, objectively, you guys are like 20 years behind the rest of the social media world, but you don't know that you are, and you're just the most obnoxious about it. Like, the most obnoxious, the most annoying, the most rude, the furthest behind, the least likely to have the self-awareness to figure it out. But it's not everybody, right? I would say hundreds of millions of people on Facebook are amazing, right? Millions of people on my page are awesome. It's not everybody, or else they wouldn't even follow me. But it's just more people on Facebook than it is on other platform. And I feel like I'm watching like a crazy movie where it's fun to talk about it. It's fun to do my job sometimes, but it's really not fun to read comments and talk to people that are just like not even, like, say that we're at war, be like, Trump and Pete Hegseth said we're at war. They changed the Department of War to the Department of War because they want to do war. It is a war. We're losing soldiers. They said we could lose more. They're going to send troops on the ground, possibly. It's a war. We're at war. Even Trump's administration is not saying we're not at war. They're proud of war. Go read the comment section on Facebook. You would literally think you're in a pig pen with a bunch of animals. Like, they're like using the most retarded logic to pretend like it's not a war. And I'm like, these people don't live in the same reality as everyone else in any objectable way. And it's not like, oh, it's just the liberals who don't understand you. It's like, no, look at Trump's numbers among conservatives under 30. He won the election because most people under 30, especially men, they like Trump. Trump was loved among under 30-year-olds. It's part of the reason he won the election. And this is what I want to say too. Now he has a negative rating. Like, he's blown his youth support, and even under 30 and 40, but especially under 30. I wanted to say this too, and I meant to say it earlier. It's too late. There's all these sort of, and I'm not talking about like fake statistics, but I'm talking about the data that they're starting to find on the election. And I figured this out a while ago, just based off of like listening and following. But one of the main things that helped Biden and Kamala lose the election, besides the fact that they're retarded and were in power and just the economy sucked and Trump was being normal, like Trump acted super normal and super smart during election season. Like, he wasn't acting like he was acting now. But anyway, Biden was funding Israel. Most Democrats do not want to fund Israel killing Palestinians. So Biden doing that and standing with Israel because he has to, because that's, just like every politician, donors, power, it all comes from there. Not necessarily from Israel, but that lobby and that group, you can't really win elections without them. So Biden had to stand with his donors and stand with the establishment and stand with the banker families and stand with Israel over his own voting base. So he got killed in the election. And one of the main reasons they're finding it, even internal polls of Democrats now, and just, everything is coming out and they're like, oh, millions of Democrats, maybe tens of millions of Democrats didn't vote because they didn't want to vote for a guy funding Israel over Ukraine. So then Trump gets in power, not only because, but one of the main reasons that Trump won in a lot of places in Michigan and millions of these youth Democrats who vote sat home was over Israel. So Biden fumbles the election to Trump by standing with donors over America and his support base. And then Trump is about to do the same exact thing. He's about to take an inherited, massive mandate of House, Senate, presidency, and the popular vote. He's serving his Israeli donors over American interests, and then he's going to lose the next election. It's almost like a cycle you start to notice. They get in power, they lie to their constituents, they serve their donors, their constituents gets pissed off, they don't show up to vote, the other side shows up to vote because they're pissed off at what they're doing, then they get in, and then Trump serves his donor, and then Trump pisses off his constituents because he's not serving their interests, and then Democrats are inspired because they hate Trump, and then they go to vote. This is literally going to happen forever until people figure it out. If you want to vote, go vote. If you don't want to vote, sit home. I'm not voting anymore. I'm over it. But if you want to vote, I don't care. I'm not going to shame you. I don't care. Maybe you want to vote locally. Maybe there's a good candidate. It's up to you. I don't want to talk about it that much. But I promise you that this will keep happening forever between the left and the right. And it's not what they're telling you on Fox News and Newsmax. It's not what these other influencers are trying to tell you it is. It's what I just told you. Like, they're fine with losing power because they can't not. Like, they can't not stand with the establishment that's more power than you. They have to. They're like, I have to do it even though it's going to lose me the election. I have to do it. I have to start this war even though it's going to lose me the primaries. I have to serve my donors because I took so much money from them. You can't take money and then not do it. It's like taking $100 million in drugs from a drug dealer and not selling it and paying them back. You think drug dealers are going to let you do that? You know what I'm saying? Watch any mafia movie ever. It's like when someone owes them money, they get pissed off. This is what politicians are doing. So they don't care that it goes back and forth because the people bankrolling them, they don't care about America like you do. And they don't necessarily care about democratic policies like Democrats do. It's like, oh, they really want to change trans sports. No, they don't. They don't really. Some people probably do, but they're using that party as a vehicle to achieve their objectives. And as soon as they have achieved their objectives, they just throw you to the side like a dead carcass in the road and then move to the other party. And then they push their objectives through Trump. And then as soon as they're done using Trump, if you look at him now, he literally looks like a used up like meat puppet. And he looks like pale and he looks just like old. And he is 80, so he's getting old. But it's like he looks like a used up carcass at this point. And as soon as they're done with Trump's political career, they're going to throw him to the side of the road too. And then they're going to go back to the Democratic Party. And then the next puppet, like a J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, are going to have to pick up the pieces. And what they're going to do is they're going to go to the donors. They're going to be like, what do you want me to do? How are you going to pay for my campaign? And then they're going to come to you and be like, they'll probably tell their donors, okay, we got to go tell the cattle people, AKA our supporters, we got to go you have to give us leeway to pander to them because it's changing. So we're going to pander to them. We're going to tell them we're going to do all these things. We're going to get in power, and then they're going to do the exact same thing Trump just did. So that is the entire picture. That's the only 5 minutes of this entire rant that actually anyone has to listen to. And that's what's going to happen till the end of time, until people figure it out. So that's what it is. You know, in the meantime, we'll have as much fun as we can have while the world is weird, and I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to black pill. I'm just going to be honest about it. Chad said, he's tired, bro. You couldn't do his job. I could not do Donald Trump's job for multiple reasons. One, it does require a lot of energy, and you got to give the man credit. He's got a lot of energy, especially for his age. But two, I couldn't do Trump's job because I would never take $250 million from Miriam Adelson. I would never take $400 million from Sheldon Adelson. I wouldn't take money from donors who wanted me to do things for Israel. I wouldn't take money from Big Pharma. I wouldn't take money from Palantir. I wouldn't bankroll a ballroom with the help of Lockheed Martin and a bunch of donors. It's like selling out the White House literally to donors. It's even worse than doing it with taxpayers. So I could never be Trump for multiple reasons, but the main one is I'm not going to sell America out to a foreign nation. I'm not going to sell America out to donors. I'm not going to sell America out to the pesticide industry and Big Pharma, and I'm not going to enrich my friends while I destroy the people who help me vote. So not only do I not envy Donald Trump at all, he's literally one of the fakest heroes in modern history. He's literally one of the worst conservative leaders of our era, who gets credit for being the greatest conservative leader of our era. He's the biggest Trojan horse. If you actually get outside of the propaganda and think about what Trump's actually done, nobody even knows what he's even done. He's actually shittier than George Bush. George Bush and George Bush Sr. picked Alito and Thomas, who are two good judges who actually like America. Trump picked Amy Coney Barrett, who's a pro-lockdown fraud, Brett Kavanaugh, who's half-baked, and Gorsuch, who's probably better than both of them, but not as good as Alito and Thomas. What else has Trump even done? He sold vaccines. He ran up the deficit. He started wars. He's bombed more countries than anybody. He's not even better than George Bush. He's the same as George Bush, except stupider and shittier and just more believable. And people will be like, yeah, but he did so much. Tell me what he did then. He closed the border. Okay, every president in modern history closed the border except for 3. So that was what everyone done. Bill Clinton didn't open the border. George Bush didn't open the border. The first George Bush didn't open the border. Borders were never open throughout history. So Trump closed the border. That's like saying he took the tampons out of the bathroom. Thank you. Thank you so much for not putting tampons in the bathroom like Tampon Tim. But how does that make you a good leader? It just makes you better than. It's they wanted to put tampons in the boys' bathroom and spray our crops with pesticides, and Trump wants to take the tampons out of the boys' bathroom, but then also spray our crops with pesticides. That makes him George Washington. No, it doesn't. They've just shifted the Overton window so far towards hell that Donald Trump is standing in hell, telling you he's not going to heaven, working for foreign nations, selling out to the pharmaceutical industry, and you still think he's George Washington. That's why we need to move the Overton window back towards normal, back towards reasonable, back towards better, because then it's not what other accomplishment has he done besides closing the border that the other side opened? What else has he done? That's literally the one tangible thing that I knew he would do. I was like, maybe he'll stop the wars. Clearly he did not do that, but it's a dice roll that was not happening. Maybe he'll improve the HHS. Technically, he probably has improved the HHS, but by minuscule margins. And unfortunately, I knew that was the only guarantee that he would minorly change the HHS and then close the border. He did close the border. Everything else, he's not really doing anything else. That's the only tangible thing he did was close the border. What if you're a Trump fan that thinks he's better than George Bush because George Bush is awful? I also think George Bush was awful, but I don't think Trump's better than George Bush. I think he's just as bad, if not worse. Name one thing he's done. What has he done? Let me know. People were like, well, he passed the Epstein-Lutnick tariffs. Okay, who are those for? It's taxing on a foreign nation. It's literally not. It's American taxpayers paying it and American businesses. Yeah, but it gives money to the government. So it takes money from Costco and gives it to the federal government. What did the federal government do with that money? Drop bombs on children? Fund foreign nations who literally think you're cattle and your saviors boiling in hot poop? What else have they done? Oh, did they stop the deficit with that tariff money? Did they give you any of it? No. They ran up the deficit more. We're still in debt. And he gave soldiers 1776 so he can send them to Iran to die for a foreign nation. That's nice of him, but he only did that so he can raise morale to use our troops in that way. Someone said 600 Chinese students. Yeah, and that's the craziest thing too, is like, I don't dislike China and I don't dislike Chinese students, but our leaders have to pick a lane. Like, I'm not at war with Russia, but our country seems to be. I don't want to go to war with Iran, but Trump wants to go to war with Iran. I don't want to go to war with China, but Trump seems to want to do that. So it's like, if you're going to go to war with China, it's like passive aggressively, even though nobody wants that, including me, then why would you bring in 600,000 Chinese students? It's like, pick a freaking lane. Either we're getting along with China and we're bringing over their students, or we're not going to get along with China and we're not going to bring over their students. It's like, they're a bunch of idiots. They're like, I hate mass migration, but here's 2 million people from Asia and India to work jobs that Americans are too stupid to work. We're not too stupid to work jobs. And it's just, and let me say this too. Sorry about this, but it's passionate. We don't need any more freaking workers. They're replacing Americans with AI. Every company's looking at their like little sheets, and all of the plebs doing Zoom calls. I'm doing something. First of all, you haven't been doing shit for 5 years. You guys just sit in Zoom calls all day. But second of all, it's like, they're going to replace you with AI. They're already replacing you with AI. So you're telling me Donald, chubby, mucus-looking carcass Trump, who looks like a freaking pile of sludge, is gonna we're not smart enough to work these jobs. We need Indians, and we need Chinese people, and we need people from all over the world to work these jobs that you're too stupid to work for. What jobs, bro? Every company is just going to start weeding out workers. They're going to do less and less and less when they get the chance because of AI. The last thing we need is millions of people from foreign countries working our jobs from any country. I appreciate people who've worked our jobs. I'm grateful to people who do hard jobs, but AI will absolutely be eliminating jobs and making them simpler for one person to do 6 people's jobs. We need somebody from India to do that. We need somebody from China to do that. Trump is a freaking fraud. He's a fraud. He's a coward and a fraud. He works for the Epstein class. He works for the donors. He works for the bankers. He works for Big Pharma. He doesn't give a crap about you. He's been hanging out with billionaires and NFL owners and Epsteinites for decades, and that's the only people he talks to. So if they say, do this so we can make more money, he does it. They say, do this crypto scam so we can make fortune, he does it. Make gambling legal in all 50 states and call it a prediction market so a bunch of our hedge funds can make money, he does it. He's literally one of the most evil politicians in modern history. I guess the only thing you could say about him is he's better than Biden on the border. He's better than Biden on vaccine mandates. He's better than Biden on tampons in boys' bathrooms. Sure, or whatever. That's like it, though, and nobody wants to admit it. So we just have to sit and act like this is some sort of impressive leadership. Trump is normalizing selling America out in a way that's never been done. And maybe it's for the better, because behind the scenes, it was done very often, but Trump is doing it more and overtly and just telling you about it on television, and still people don't see it. So it's like, maybe this is what needs to happen in order for a new generation to not allow this to happen. But for now, like, he's not any better than George Bush. It's just like, oh, we're going to close the border, but then bring in 3 million people on visas while 10 million Americans get their jobs cut from AI. Jack Dorsey just downsized from 10,000 people to 6,000 people and said, I'm sorry we have to do this, but I'd rather do it quickly, and AI can do the job. So we got to get rid of 4,000 people. He's not the only one. They're all going to do this. And not to be negative or anything, but the American system is based off of the stock market, which is based off of fiduciary duty, which is based off of, apparently, from my knowledge, a Dodge versus Ford court case in which, Dodge was suing Ford, trying to say back in the day that they're paying people too much and stuff. And mysteriously at the time, Dodge had a symbol that looks exactly like the Star of David. Look all that up. But anyway, that's just the reality of it. You can fact check and look up all those things if you don't believe me. But anyway, now a company is almost like forced to do this stuff. And it's not that they're doing the right thing, but like Chipotle has good ingredients. Chipotle tastes good. Then a banker buys it. Then a hedge fund buys it, or some sort of investment group. And then they look at everything and they say, how can we save money? How can we make more money? How can we make the products cheaper? How can we make this cheaper? How can we charge more? How can we give less? That's what every company in America is doing, because they almost have to do it, because they have to make as much money as they can for their stock owners for some sort of legal clause when it comes to, you can't not improve the company's value if you have the option to. I don't know exactly how it works, but if you're public, I think it's almost like by law. So what I'm trying to say is over the next 5 years, they have to lay off workers. If they're sitting at a company and there's 500,000 of you sitting on Zoom calls or doing something that, is very valuable, or so you think, and they look at it and say, you know what, one AI can do 4 people's jobs. So these 1,000 graphic designers we have, these thousands of scripts writers we have, these thousands of people reading emails that we have, we need to put one person in charge of 5 AI and just go from 1 million people to like 200,000 employees. They almost have to do that, because if they can save $5 billion doing that and get the same productivity, it's not even an option at a certain point. Like, oh, we want to do that and screw over people. If they're a public company, they might actually have to do that. So we don't need people from India working jobs. We don't need people from Asia working jobs. We don't need people from anywhere working jobs. We don't need H-1B visas. We don't need like that. Literally, I can't possibly think of anything we need less than that. We don't need any of that at all right now, especially right now. We have people in America doing jobs. We have, we have downsizing about to happen. So why are they not talking about this? Why are they not doing anything about this? I mean, some people are, but most of our focus as a nation is on war, because we're fighting wars for a foreign nation. We should be talking about this. We should be talking about healthcare. We should be talking about, cleaning up our streets. We should be talking about the fact we have technology to make everything in America awesome, yet only some places are awesome and some places aren't. Okay, why? Because Iran, it's going to be Ukraine, Iran. Okay, that's what we got to talk about for the next 5-10 years while we spend trillions on it. It's so annoying. And now the Democrats are trying to pretend like, they're like against this stuff. I saw like Mark Warner or something on the Senate Intelligence Committee. He's coming out and he's saying like, there's no intelligence like that Trump's telling the truth about all this stuff. Like we didn't need to go to war, and to be honest, he's probably right. The same way Republicans tell the truth when Democrats are out of office and then they lie when they get into office. Now Democrats are starting to outflank Republicans with the truth. Now they're acting like they're against this war. Now they're acting like Trump sold out to Israel, and Trump is sold out to Israel. So whether they are doing it for the right reasons or not, they're going to win the next election. They're going to beat J.D. Vance when he runs. J.D. Vance has tanked his entire political career by being the vice president and standing by Trump. He has to, but at this point, it's like he's cooked. The only chance J.D. Vance had was to balance the book of being like, I'm standing by Trump because I have to, because I'm vice president and I'm going to stand by my president. But at the same time, I'm going to keep my sovereignty to let people know that I'm more like a Charlie Kirk who doesn't want all these regime change wars. I'm more like a Matt Walsh who doesn't want these regime change wars. He's totally blown that cover. And now he's not doing any of those things. And he's totally just like a Pete Hegseth and a Donald Trump because he has to be. So, it's like he's not going to be the president in 2028. Marco Rubio is not going to be the president in 2028. These people are not going to win. The over 60 crowd would vote for JD Vance or Marco Rubio. Probably not, but maybe I would have voted for JD Vance 2 months ago. Like if I came to the conclusion that, even though he was kind of a sellout, that he'd be better than a Democrat. I'm not voting for either of them at this point. And there has to be some sort of massive public perception shift to the point where these people need to be on their knees groveling, apologizing to us for blowing it, because what we did to them, we sent them to the White House. We got them the House. We got them the Senate. We got them the presidency. We got them the popular vote. We got them the podcast circuit. We changed the media to be in their favor. We did everything for them. And I'm not saying we, I'm talking about we, the people, we, the country, we, everybody on every level, everyone, every mom, every Trump supporter, every conservative, every Republican, everyone played their part to shift the House, the Senate, the presidency, the podcast, the media, and the popular vote in the favor of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and all of these morons. And what did they do with it? They started a war for their donors in the foreign nation that they work for, and they're going to leave us hanging for the midterms. They're going to lose the House. I wouldn't be shocked if they lose the Senate, and they're definitely going to lose the presidency next time because Trump is a retard who just sits there talking about a golden ballroom. They ask him about Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. He talks about it for like 20 seconds and then starts talking about his ballroom. They're asking about the war in Iran and Americans dying. He talks about it for a little bit, seems completely uninterested in it, and then starts talking about his ballroom again for 2 minutes. Oh, my ballroom, it's so shiny. Look at the drapes. Bro, fuck you, Trump. Fuck you, dude. You're such a scumbag. And anybody that like is obsessed with him still, it's just like, wake up. You know what I'm saying? Wake up. What do you like? How do you like? What do you think is going on? Like, oh, he's just talking about his ballroom. No one cares about his ballroom that's being funded by crypto bros, Miriam Adelson, and Lockheed Martin. You shouldn't be able to sell a room at the White House and make people pay for it. Like, Trump is literally the biggest scammer. We're not winning the presidency in 2028 with this attitude, with the way Trump acts. We're losing. We got him the House. We got him the Senate. We got him the presidency. We got him the popular vote. We got him the podcast. And we shifted the media and the culture in his directions. And what does he do? Build a ballroom with Miriam Adelson and Lockheed Martin. Tell you guys to fuck off if you want to talk about Epstein. Get mad at Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. Turn into Mark Levin. And then talk about a ballroom when we asked him about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Trump sucks. And everybody that's riding his coattails, you're just screwing us. We have 3 years. If you still care at all about the Republican Party and the conservative movement, maybe you don't, and I don't blame you. But if you do, I'm talking to people that are registered Republicans that care. You have 2 years at least, maybe 3, but for midterms, you're cooked. But for 2 years to shift back in the direction that we worked so hard for, or else any Democrat's going to beat a Republican. Marco Rubio is going to get destroyed because Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance have to run off the legacy of Donald Trump. When Donald Trump won in 2016, he didn't run off the legacy of George Bush. He didn't run off the legacy of Obama. Trump won because he said, George Bush's legacy sucks. Jeb Bush, you suck. Everybody, you suck. Obama, you suck. Democrats, you suck. And you all get you all get bankrolled by donors. That's why you're so fraudulent. That's why Trump won in 2016. In 2020, he locked down the country, fumbled everything, printed trillions of dollars, gave the Democrats power to do all this stuff, and then cried victim after he literally signed away the election and the CARES Act, and then convinced you that he's a victim to what he literally was in on. And then he lost the election to Joe Biden. And then Joe Biden got into office. Joe Biden literally sucks. So then Donald Trump won this election by pointing to Joe Biden and the economy that he helped destroy with Joe Biden. And people were like, all right, fuck Joe Biden. We'll vote for Donald Trump. Excuse my language. You think J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are going to be able to win an election in 2028 off the legacy of Donald Trump? No, they're cooked. Our entire party is cooked. J.D. Vance's his chance is done. Marco Rubio's chance is done. The only people that like him are the over 60 crowd. Not all of them, but a majority of them. If the election were only 60-year-olds, Marco Rubio wins in a landslide. If the election's 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, and 60-year-olds, Trump is not going to get 20 million votes that he got. Either people are going to sit home or some of them are going to vote Democrat. I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not voting. I'm not voting for these people. And there's tens of millions of people like me. So it's like, either you want the Republican Party to do well, find a candidate from now until 2028 who serves America, not Miriam Adelson, who serves America, not his mega donors, who serves America and doesn't pass speech laws for a foreign nation and rig everything for Israel. And if you can't, Gavin Newsom's going to be president. So figure it out. Do you want a Republican who actually does what Trump pretends to want to do? Or do you want Gavin Newsom? If you don't want Gavin Newsom, stop acting like it's just you in the election. Boomers are going to vote for Trump and J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. The rest of the country isn't. And the only reason Trump is here is not just because he tricked you on Fox News with Sean Hannity and Bibi Netanyahu. It's because we voted, not necessarily just me, podcast bros, Joe Rogan, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds who didn't like that Joe Biden was funding Israel in the war against Palestine. This is how Trump won the election. Independents, libertarians, make America healthy again. Trump fumbled every bag. He fumbled his entire coalition except the people who would literally lick shit off his shoe and say it tasted like a snozberry at Willy Wonka's factory. That's the only people who still like Trump. Gunther Eagleman, retard. Cat Turd, retard. I've been in 55 bar fights in my life, Patriot. You don't know about toughness. I've been in 50 bar fights. I'm cat turd. You've been in 50 bar fights? How frequent is that? If you get in 2 bar fights a year, it's like 25 years of bar fights. You get 2 a year. Did you do this in a 5-year span? How'd you get in all these fights, bro? Is that if I met somebody and he said, dude, I've been in 5 bar fights, I'd be like, I should not go out drinking with this guy. Clearly he has a problem. 10 bar fights, yo, this guy has a serious problem. Like, I think he needs to be like, I think he needs psychiatric help. 15 bar fights, might need to be in prison. 20 bar fights, psychopath. 30 bar fights, bro, what's wrong with you, dude? You need all of the above. You might need rehab, a psychiatric help. You know, you might need to download one of those apps where you could talk to somebody. And, you know, at a certain point, you might need like a place to stay that's not the rest of the world. How many bar fights did Cat Turd say he got in? Let me go look at the number real quick. This is the average Trump supporter at this point, like their intelligence. Let's see, Cat Turd bar fights. How many was it? He bragged about this publicly, by the way. He thought this was like something that like people would be, was it 40? I got to look at the number. Hold on. I'm going to ask AI real quick. How many bar fights did Cat Turd say he got in? Tweet link. We got to be accurate here, okay? The Cat Turd Industrial Complex might come after me. How many? He said he's been in 40 bar fights. He said, dude, I was raised in the South and I've been in 40 bar fights. You wouldn't last 3 minutes with me, wimp. 40 bar fights. So think about how ignorant and stupid and arrogant and obnoxious and annoying. I don't even think I could get in 40 bar fights in my entire life if I tried to. Like, I would literally just have to go around and like kick people's shins or something and then get punched in the face for like clout or like on a live stream or something. Like, how do you get in that many fights? This is the average Trump supporter. Cat Turd, retard. Gunther Eagleman, retard. It's like people like that. And then people over 60 that act like them. And they're like, we're going to win the next election. You're not winning shit. You didn't win the election because Cat Turd and Gunther Eagleman voted for you. Cat Turd and Gunther Eagleman would lick shit off of Trump's pants and say it tasted like a Trumpy Wumpy NFT. They would say it's a Bitcoin. I'm like, no, you just ate shit. They're like, oh no, it's an oral Bitcoin. It's an oral Bitcoin. We're saving Trump coins. You know, Epstein coins coming out next. We can't wait to get our Lutnick coin in the Epstein edition. That's not why you're winning elections. It's good to have a coalition of retards who will vote for you even if you shit in their face, like a Gunther Eagleman or a Cat Turd. It's good. It helps. But Trump didn't win the House, the Senate, and the presidency because of just people like that. He won because of RFK and Make America Healthy Again. He screwed all of them over by spraying their crops with more glyphosate and passing executive orders to provide legal immunity. He got the libertarian crowd. He got the podcast crowd. He got Joe Rogan. He got Theo Vaughn. He got Tim Dillon. He got moderates. He got lifelong Democrats who were annoyed. He got people who voted for Joe Biden. He had everybody. And now he has Cat Turd and Gunther Eagleman and boomers who act like Cat Turd and Gunther Eagleman. It's not going to work in the primaries. And there's no way that anyone attached to Donald Trump is going to win in 2028. He's destroyed. Not that Marco Rubio, he built him up and threw him down. So it doesn't even matter. Marco Rubio's been a puppet and a fraud. Trump made him a superstar in MAGA world. That's all Marco needs anyway. He doesn't need to be president. JD Vance had a good chance. JD Vance was playing his cards right. JD Vance was doing the perfect amount of agreeing with Trump, but distancing himself in some ways without without distancing himself, like agreeing with Trump, but not doing too much. It's over. He has no chance now, which is fine because he also doesn't need to be president. So who's going to be next? Thomas Massie probably doesn't want to run. Marjorie Taylor Greene ran away from Congress. who's going to win? We don't really have anybody, to be honest. And this is the really sick part about the Charlie Kirk assassination, besides everything about it. Charlie was that guy. Charlie was the guy that was connected to the establishment, was connected to the Zionists, was connected to the donors, but also was connected to us. He was the only one. He was the only one. And he's dead now. We don't have anybody else like that. JD Vance was the closest, but he's too in on it. It's too late. I'm not asking for the perfect candidate. I know there's no perfection, but I want somebody that can tell the donors no once in a while. Charlie Kirk said yes to the donors his whole life. I didn't like Charlie Kirk because all he did was say yes to the donors, and I found him to be, for a long time, I wouldn't say overrated, but just not genuine. As soon as Charlie started to grow up and make money for his own and get famous and connect with people, and I do think he was a hard worker, Charlie started to become more genuine, become more America first, become more honest, and say no to his donors. And within 5 months of Charlie Kirk saying no to his donors, he was assassinated. I'm not saying they did it, and I'm not saying anyone did it. It was definitely Tyler Robinson. The FBI would never lie. And, if you question the government, you're a conspiracy theorist. So, of course, Kash Patel is telling the truth. And he looked really cool celebrating with the U.S. hockey team. He totally didn't look corny. But, sarcasm aside, I'm not saying anyone. I don't know. I'm not going to make a claim I don't know. But this is a factual statement. Charlie Kirk worked for donors his whole career. Charlie Kirk stood up to his donors for a year. Charlie Kirk was killed. All those things happen. Doesn't mean they're related. You could say they're not related. I'll say, yeah, they're not related. But I don't know. Who else has ever stood up to their donors in a position of Charlie Kirk? JD Vance can't stand up to his donors. Trump can't stand up to his donors. He's taking too much money. Who else even is there? Because I'm not delusional about power levels. Trump is powerful. JD Vance is well connected. Charlie Kirk was the most powerful person under 35. I'm not talking. Someone said, oh, he's just a podcast bro. Charlie was just a podcast bro. No, he wasn't. Charlie wasn't. Charlie ran a podcast, but his podcast was like 5% of his power. Charlie Kirk's power was in the fact that he was the head of Turning Point USA, the most influential, not just youth organization of America, campus organization of America, speaking gig organization of America, event thrower in America. I'm not talking about digital podcast power. Yeah, he had some of that. That's not what made Charlie Kirk powerful. There's no bigger events in Republican media or politics or anything. It's not like Republican politicians are like, oh, we throw better events for adults. No, they don't. Turning Point did everything. Best events for adults, best events for students, best events for politicians, best events for anybody in the conservative media, biggest events for all of them, biggest youth organization, biggest campaigning organization as far as getting people under 40 to get involved, everything. And he owned that. And he had a voice that everybody understood. And he was the top of that pyramid. And as soon as he said, I don't see my organization going in the direction that you want me to go in, because I want to be a big tent to not just Zionists and donors, but I want to be a big tent to Tucker Carlson. I want to be a big tent maybe to Candace Owens. I want to be a big tent with Megyn Kelly. I want to allow Dave Smith to debate Josh Hammer on my stage. As soon as Charlie started doing that, anti-Semite, 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 anti-Semite. He started getting called an anti-Semite. So at this point, if people can't figure out, the word anti-Semite is used, as Charlie would say, to morally blackmail him. He felt like he was not being sexually blackmailed. Charlie Kirk felt like he was being morally blackmailed to say, hey, Charlie, why don't you do what we want you to do? And if not, we're going to call you an anti-Semite in the press. And Charlie knew everyone, by the way. So I don't even have to, he knew who was planting those stories. He knew who was connected to who. And he knew that his donors were saying stuff to him. Then stories would pop up and they wouldn't defend Charlie Kirk. So he knew exactly who was behind it and who was doing it to him and who wasn't defending him and who was probably orchestrating it. He knew all those things. So that's why he was trying to tell people about it. He was like, I'm being morally he was screaming for help his last year. I'm being morally blackmailed. They're trying to morally blackmail me by smearing my character, by running articles about me, by trying to make my friends, my family, my wife, everybody around me hate me and think I'm a bad person because I won't bow down to the donors. That's what he was trying to tell people for the last year of his life. And now that he's gone, the whole reason I went on that rant, there's nobody like him. He was probably going to be the president one day. And if they knew that he wasn't going to play ball, but he was powerful enough to be the president, who else is there? JD Vance is a puppet who might have good instinct, but he's no Charlie Kirk, and he'll probably fold. And if he doesn't fold, he knows what might happen to him probably. Marco Rubio is literally the archetype puppet. He's just good at it, so people like him. But he's exactly who Trump said he was in 2015, a puppet. Who else is there? Charlie Kirk was the only one powerful enough and well-connected enough to the establishment to win office, but, you know, genuine enough to actually maybe do a few things for us. And he's gone. Do you know? I don't know. Like, who else could there possibly be? And here's the thing. It's like, I would say Tucker Carlson is the only other person that's close to that. And that's why he's enemy number one. And I'm not like, you have to understand when I say this, I'm not talking about your favorite podcasters. I'm talking, there's a difference. There's godly power. There's spiritual power. There's digital power. There's societal and influential power. And then there's establishment, systemic, physical, worldly power. It doesn't mean it makes you really powerful, but you get what I'm saying. There's a difference between all of those things. I have no establishment power. Maybe more than the average person. Maybe I know somebody or something, but like, I don't have establishment literal power when it comes to physical power, donor power, political power. I have spiritual power, social power, podcast and influence, which it does mean something. It's not like I do nothing, but at the same time, what I'm trying to say is in order to win for office, I mean, maybe you could be an outsider, but you kind of need to have a little bit of both, but you need to use your social power to be able to get in with the political power, but be able to kind of like make a deal. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that can change, and I hope it could change, and somebody from the outside can, but Charlie had both, and he was willing to use this leverage to disagree with donors, and then he got assassinated. Tucker Carlson was, his father was in the government. He worked for all sorts of mainstream media. He knows politicians. He's been in the establishment for most of his adult life. So that's why they hate Tucker so much. Tucker is the only one besides Charlie Kirk who has a combination of social power, trust, respect, money. Not that you need it, but he's rich enough. He doesn't need anyone's money at this point. But he also has enough connections in the establishment to pull it off. So I don't think he wants to run for president, but if Tucker could run for president, he'd have a better chance than anybody from the outside because he's not really an outsider. They know that. That's why they're running articles about him. They know JD Vance might have agreed with Charlie Kirk. That's why they're running articles about him. So JD and Rubio are nowhere near Charlie, but Tucker is. And Tucker goes even harder than Charlie. And Charlie told Tucker to keep going hard. He liked what Tucker was doing. Tucker was inspiring Charlie. He was like, wow, I love that. And then he was killed. I'm not saying they're related, but that was the timeline of how it was going. Charlie stood by Tucker. He liked what he was doing. He told him to go max. He told him to do whatever he wanted to do. He told him to speak about the Israel lobby. He told him to speak about Epstein. Charlie didn't care. He said, do it. It's my stage. It's my company. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to allow you to do what no one else in the establishment will allow you to do, Tucker Carlson. I will allow you to go on the biggest stage in the country. I will allow you to go at one of the biggest events, the biggest event in Republican media sphere. It's not even close. Number one in Republican media, number one in Republican politics, probably as big as any events, even that musicians run. Turning Point is that huge and it has that much influence. And he said, it's my company. It's my stage. None of these other people will let you do it, but I will let you go up there and speak about the Israel lobby and Epstein and whatever you want. I don't care. And then he was assassinated 5 months later. That's just a fact. I'm not saying they're related, but that's what happened. Now, what's Turning Point going to do with the biggest stage in politics? Are they going to let a Tucker Carlson speak? So you understand what I'm saying? They're understanding that Tucker is the one that controls the most. He has a lot of boomers that like him. He has a lot of establishment people that like him. He knows Trump. He's connected to all the politicians, but he's also very honest and not working for that lobby and can't be bought on that topic. They know this. There's no, like, he's the closest one. So there's going to be the most negative backlash to him. Now, before I leave, I'll say, is it possible that with social media, with technology, and with the changing of media, that someone with no establishment power, like a Charlie or Tucker, could win an election? 100%. It's definitely possible. It's definitely could be, and it'll be interesting to see if it happens. But for Republicans, it's something to think about. Rubio will not win. JD Vance will not win. They're not to be trusted, either of them. But I feel bad for JD a little bit. Not really, but it's like he's cooked now with Trump because of this last war and how he's acting. So he's lost it. With that being said, who do you think will run, could run, or wants to run? Like, who will emerge from the ashes of the GOP that they left here for their donors? Who's going to run? Because this is the thing about the primary too. I told people this when it was Trump versus DeSantis. Use this as an advantage. Challenge Trump. Don't just say, get out of the way, DeSantis. No, stay in the race and challenge Trump. Nobody wanted to challenge Trump. Now look where we are. Okay, we have years. We have time. Now's the time to challenge our party, but more importantly, find somebody who can start planting seeds, or at least, like, make their way into it. I don't know who's going to do it, but we can't just sit around and be like, oh yeah, it's going to be JD Vance or Rubio. It's not. They're not good enough. They're not going to get the popular vote. They're not going to get the youth. Nobody likes them, rightfully so. It'll be interesting to see who rises. And sometimes you can't predict who comes up and not. So it's like, it's not to get ahead of ourselves, but that is the game plan if you care about politics anymore. If you just say it's all fake, it's all gay, I don't even care anymore, I'm never voting again, I'm pretty much in the exact same spot. But, if we are going to just not completely give up on our government and say that there is a way to make it better, and we have to understand what the system is in order to fix it. We don't have a Charlie Kirk anymore. And to be honest, as somebody who wasn't a huge fan of his as he was changing, I was looking forward to him entering politics. I really thought he was going to be a good guy. Like, he agreed with Thomas Massey. He liked Marjorie Taylor Greene. Charlie would have been one of the best Republicans. He would have been good. I mean, he wouldn't have been perfect, but he would have been great. And now that's been taken from us. We don't have Charlie anymore. There's, let's see who comes up, but I hope it's somebody good. And I hope that somebody kind of starts angling for that. And I think, I'm not going to say our duty, because you don't have to like anybody, but if there's somebody in Congress like a Thomas Massey who is extraordinarily honest and he's willing to be transparent about what's going on, I think it makes sense to rally behind him, not to just say everything he does is right, but when 3 Zionist billionaires, including one in Epstein's book, starts funding a campaign in Kentucky because they don't like that he doesn't do everything Israel wants, it's important to stand by him, because we need more Thomas Masseys, not less. And if Trump's going to join the establishment against Thomas Massey, then screw him too. So it's like, we need, it might not happen overnight, but we're kind of running out of like, it's going in the wrong direction. We at least need to get like 20 more Thomas Masseys, 5 more Marjorie Taylor Greenes, a few more Matt Getzes, except ones that don't get in trouble and kicked out. Like we need people to go in that direction. And one thing I will say is I am interested to see this upcoming election, to see if there's more James Fishback and Casey Pushes and people in the Democratic Party who aren't taking money from AIPAC, because even though it might not go in the direction we want, that's the future. If over the next election we can be like, okay, 50 congressmen who aren't sold out to Israel got in Congress, even if they have bad policies, it's like, well, now that's changing the game of what it means to be in Congress. And then the next election, we can find people that we like that can do that. So we'll see what happens. These are my thoughts. I'm exhausted. 2 4-hour live streams back to back. Not good to watch in full, probably, unless you like that, but it is good to pop in and out. So that might be my format moving on. Not every day I can't do this, but some days I have the energy and the inspiration. Other days I don't. And if I'm going to do live streams, I'm going to look into Kick, I think, in my spare time. And maybe I'll start going on there because they like those things. Appreciate you.